Oh, yep. It looks like it's working now, Leo.
Ah, we're up and running.
Yep.
Although on the screen it's still saying stream has ended, but
Oh,
that
really?
probably just needs a refresh. On here on Discord, I'm just saying that the screen that's supposed to be showing the stream probably just needs restart.
Oh, I'm looking at so I just logged in just in case I needed to do it. And so I logged in. I'm actually on the streaming page and I can see Leo's stream. I can
Right?
see
Yeah.
Leo's feed.
No, it's there now.
All right. That's crazy. We can both. I like that we can both be in this at the same time. I thought only one person might be in
Hey,
it.
there it is. Yeah. Just need Leo back.
What?
Hey,
was that,
there
man?
you are. We just need you.
Oh my god! Jeez.
That was a marathon.
What was that about, dude? Oh my god, that was awesome. In a very very horrible kind of way. So, all right. I mean, there was just so much going on there, man. Yeah. I think I'll have to like on the show backtrack and figure out what or talk about all the weird stuff. I mean, if nothing else, today's a good day for talking about this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and somehow, 8 folks decided to stick around with us. we got 0 dislikes during that whole situation. Look, I'll even give a like.
Well, you ended up getting a couple of dislikes from us.
Oh, that's fine. Y'all don't count.
They weren't new though.
Tony Sema, Cena or Serena said, "I better leave, giving the show bad luck."
Oh my god! All right. Well, we made it. We are live, and it only took
a couple of days
and a few missing hairs, man. It's really all it took.
I think it's a good omen.
Did you go a little balder?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, my hair's too thick for that right now. Okay. What I wanted to do...
Shall we get on with Audacity then and try and get
Probably.
us started
we
before half 8?
We want Tony to be able to go to bed sometime tonight.
Yeah.
No.
Preferably not tomorrow morning.
All right, let me do... I got Audacity open. I'm going to double check on the audio real quick. Yep. Things are kind of loud. Hang on.
Project saved.
Okay, 1 sec. I'm going to step away for just one more sec. I'll be right back.
As soon as he comes back and we're ready to start, I'm going to say I have to go to the restroom.
Oh dear. I know we're not known for our promptness, but this must be a world record there.
Oh, surely not.
Well, it is when I on the show I've been around at. I think it must be getting towards a record.
All right.
Just saying, Leo. I know we're not known for our promptness, but this must be getting towards a record.
I think it is the record, man. It definitely is the record. All right, one last thing. I was messing with the mic, and I feel like I'm getting a lot of noise in it. Give me one more sec. Yep, I know.
Caffeinate.
I've done too much caffeine already today.
So have I. That's not going to stop me.
Leo, do you play music?
What do you mean? I play it on the radio.
Oh, okay. I saw your tattoo and I thought it was a treble clef.
Oh, it is?
he's
Yeah, totally.
he avidly plays the
bass clef.
kazoo.
This is true. I do that. Now I'm getting electrical noise in the mic. I'm trying to fix that. Better. That'll do for now.
I don't hear it on our side, but I don't
No, it's gonna be in the Audacity recording though.
mean.
All right, that should do it. That should be close enough.
It should be easy enough to clean up, though.
Yeah, but it'll be in everything, and then it gets weird when you start.
Yeah.
That really sounds like an
Anyway.
Owen problem.
Yeah, no, but I'm trying
yeah,
not
but
to.
we've got to be kind to Owen. Come on, he's doing us a favour.
I know.
All right,
I
all right.
know.
Last, give me 3 seconds. I'm saving the show.
3, 2, 1.
Start.
All right. Okay. I think
All
I'm
right.
ready.
Are we all
Tony,
ready
over to you.
Are we all ready to press the button when I go 3, 2, 1, start and do the
Yes,
25
sir.
seconds of silence then?
Sure.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, record. Yay.
All right.
Woohoo.
And now
Go,
for the 3,
Joe,
2, 1, 0.
All right.
That was our moment of prayer that the rest of the show goes without air.
I think we're gonna do good though.
All right, ready for 3, 2, 1, 0?
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1, 0.
0.
God. Everyone but me everyone was about 0.25 to a half a second behind me. So I'm hoping it's the transatlantic lag.
Yeah, because it did sound pretty close to perfect.
Yeah,
for me it sounded perfect.
all you three sounded spot on, and I was just that half a second in front of you. Over to you, Leo.
All right.
Now I have Slipknot stuck in my head.
All right, that'll do.
Guess there are worse things.
Certainly better.
Well, there will be no music today. I'm just not gonna.
Well, you don't
fiddle
like
with that.
Slipknot?
Today is just not the day for anything.
They've surprised me a few times.
All right, are we ready?
Yeah, I'll mute.
I think we can actually do something today. Maybe. All right. I double checked it. Audacity's still running. I had a bad feeling about that. Okay. All right. Welcome to mintCast, the podcast by the Linux Mint community for all users of Linux. This is episode 363. This is episode 363.5. Livestream information is at mintcast.org/livestream. We're in the mintcast channel in IRC at irc.spotchat.org. If you see something you'd like to hear about, tell us. Send us email at mintcast@mintcast.org. Join us live on YouTube. Post at the mintcast subreddit. Chat with us on Telegram, Discord, Facebook, or post directly at mintcast.org. This is Leo, and with me today is Bo.
Hey, Leo.
Yo, and Joe.
Hola.
And Tony.
Yeah, we're only a little bit late.
Only a lot of bit late. And we're recording on Sunday, June 13th. First up, in our wanderings, I miss a delivery. Joe forgets to back up. Bo tinkers with Pipewire. And Tony turns the amperage up to 10. Then, in our news, we have a Linux Mint update. Audacity backtracks a top 10, and OBS's Wayland support. In our intersection, we updated the live stream setup again and again and again. So we'll chat about that and the accessories to go along with. And finally, the feedback and a couple suggestions. Well, 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 if it isn't a really horrible day. So I was going to dive right in, talk about Firefox and how it's growing on me and all that, but I feel like I have to address the 30-minute late elephant in the room. We're 30 minutes late today. And that is, oh man, that was something. So
It's
I don't
great
know
how
what
it
was-
lines up with the show topic, though.
I know. If we didn't pick OBS, none of this would have happened. I think that was it. If we didn't pick live streaming or any of this, I wouldn't have been running around with my head cut off, man.
Right.
Yeah. So this tale starts with with yesterday. Actually, it all made sense. So right after our meeting, I had asked you guys, "Hey, what did I sound choppy or was it weird or anything like that yesterday?" And I didn't really get any. Nobody said anything that was wrong. So I was like, okay, fine, no big deal. It must have just been weird Wi-Fi back here or something like that. I don't know. We may have been running the microwave too much. I have no idea. And I didn't think anything of it. And then 10, 15 minutes prior to the show, as I normally do, I start getting the live stream set up, start testing things, testing bandwidth, making sure everything's going good. And for some reason, I've got YouTube set up at 3,500 kilobits per second. It makes for smooth video, audio, all that, right, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I turn it on, and it doesn't say 3,500. It says 800, and then it says 400, and then it says 100, and then it says 80. And then it just kind of fluctuates between all of that. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. That's weird. It's never done this before. So last episode, I was running off Wi-Fi, the stream off of 5G. And I was okay, that's totally going to be it. That's going to be it. Well, I'm on Linux Mint, right? Well, not anymore on the streaming box. But it turns out kernel 5.8 does not have the driver for my new motherboard's 2.5 gigabit network card. So I plug in the cable because I'm like, it's got to be Wi-Fi. It's got to be Wi-Fi. I'm going to plug in the cable. It's going to be great. And plugged in the cable, turned off the Wi-Fi, no network connectivity. I'm like, what's going on here? I have config-A, no Ethernet.
Oh, no.
I never thought to check it. I hopped on Wi-Fi and I was like, this will be cool for now. And then I never plugged in, right? Well, anyway, I'm like, well, I need wired connection because apparently it's a connectivity thing. So I've got to get, a good solid connection. So I reboot. Thankfully, I had Pop! OS installed, had OBS and all the junk installed. I just didn't have the scene set up. So, when I stream it, it wouldn't have been exactly what we wanted. Anyway, so I got the scene set up real quick. I start streaming. Same thing on wired. So Pop! OS had the driver because it's on kernel 5.11, and for some reason it's not available in Linux Mint. Otherwise, I'd already be upgraded. But anyway, Pop! OS has 5.11, had the driver, everything worked. I did a network test. It's sitting at like 200 megabits per second, which is odd because it should be way above that. But whatever. And yeah, still the same thing on wired. Same kind of fluctuation weirdness. So I'm like, I don't know what it is. I'm just going to reboot the router and hope for the best. So I reboot the router. By the way, it's like 205 something like that by this point. So I reboot the router. Everything comes back up. I start streaming again. And at the beginning, it's like, no. And then finally it settles in at 3,500 where it's supposed to be. So my router decided to just be slow or whatever, start dropping packets left and right. I don't know what that was about. Anyway, reboot fixed it. Yay. Reboot fixes everything. And I'm good. And then for some reason, so I'm on, I use Chromium because I want to stay as close to Chrome without being Chrome. And it's basically still Chrome anyway. I'm on Chromium. I'm on the YouTube page. I start the stream and that little blue button pops up and it says go live. And it popped up and I clicked it. And nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. So I don't know. And so I run back here and I think everything's going great. And then everybody tells me that there's no stream. What? I don't know what that's about. Anyway, so I run back. I realize the button's gray. It's not live. The window is updating. So I know I'm connected. I know it's the right stream key. I know all the information's correct. But I'm like, all right, whatever. Let me do the backup ingest server. Okay, let me physically put in the URL to actually do the stream. It all behaved the same. So turns out you got to restart Chromium too. If there's like weird glitches or something, you have to restart the browser, that YouTube session as well. So I just closed Chromium altogether and then restarted it, opened it back up, went to the live. The blue button was blue, and I clicked go, and it worked. So that was my day today.
Wow.
So the moral of the story is, if it can go wrong, it will.
Yeah,
Right.
especially if you're going to talk about how right it's all gone up until this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. So, yay. That's the story of why we're 30 minutes late today.
In the moment like that too, whenever you're trying to like rush and put this,
Yeah.
figure this out, it's hard to think about all the steps and troubleshooting.
Yeah, I mean, I was just throwing everything at the wall, and it just I don't know why it dawned on me to restart Chromium. I don't know, because that was the last little key, the last little puzzle piece to make it all work. I
That's
don't know
funny.
what made me do it, but I did it in there. I mean, I guess it's just in the back of my mind. Just start it over. That's what's going on. Anyway, yeah, here we are. We're here. We've made it. So that was fun. Anyway, so on to my actual wanderings, which is Firefox 89 is growing on me.
Like a fungus.
Well, yeah, it's entered my brain and it's not leaving, and I kind of enjoy it. It's faster now. There is a bit of a speed increase on everything, seems like to me. And the only thing that I think I would have liked was these icons are gone. On when you click on the little hamburger menu, I hate calling it a hamburger menu, but I think everybody knows what I mean when I say that. New tab, new window, new private, bookmarks, history, downloads, passwords. Why did they take the icons away? That's nice. I don't need them, but I can see that there are a lot of people that do. And then just the separation between the tabs is kind of hard to see sometimes, especially if you need, actual visual cues to help you out with that kind of thing. So as far as Firefox goes, man, outside of a couple of accessibility things that they can make better, I like it. I like it a lot. Have y'all used it much at all?
I haven't
I'm on
touched
it
it
now.
yet.
Yeah.
I tried it out whenever you mentioned it on the last episode, but I literally just tried it for that moment. I haven't actually used it extensively.
I feel like it's totally worth it, man. The 88 to 89 upgrade, I liked everything about it, but I don't need those accessibility features. So if you do, you might, it might be a little bit. You might have to wait until 90 to see some of those things, which, I mean, I think that kind of breaks it for some folks, right? I mean, it's the whole point, is to make it accessible as possible out of the gate. Because if you have to wait an entire version and you basically can't use the browser, it's not great. It's not great at all. So anyway, Tony, what are your thoughts on it? How do you like it?
Well, I've been using it since it came through on the update because I use Firefox as my primary driver.
Right.
Primary browser. It definitely feels snappier. Pages seem to load that little bit quicker, particularly ones that are quite resource heavy.
Right.
Seem to be snappier. What I don't like is, the icons on, like for your home and back and things like that.
Yeah.
They've gone smaller. So
yeah, they have. It's consistent.
It just makes it a little bit
across
harder
now.
Yeah. I hadn't noticed, because I don't use the hamburger menu very often, so I hadn't noticed the fact that the icons had gone away from that until you mentioned it.
Right.
But yeah, on the whole, I'm quite happy with it.
Oh, cool. That's cool. Well, I like it. It's good stuff. I don't see any reason I don't have any particular reason to complain. I enjoy it a lot. So I guess we'll see. The other thing is there's a game that I've been playing. And I don't usually play a whole lot of new games. I stick to the tried and true stuff all the time. But Humble Bundle put out a free game, as they do every couple of months. And it's called Surviving Mars. this game, it's like it did a whole civilization on me, where you start playing the game, and then you look up and the clock has somehow moved forward 5 hours, and you're like, what happened? So Surviving Mars is currently still free on the Humble Store if you're listening to this on the live stream. If you catch this on the podcast through a podcatcher, yeah, sale's over. But
I'm on the Humble Store right now taking a look at it, and it's showing it's $30.
oh, so never mind. Just kidding. It's over. But if you caught it yesterday, where I posted it in Telegram and Discord and everywhere
Never
else.
mind. I scrolled down. Surviving Mars Deluxe Edition,
Yeah.
$0.
Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah, if you picked it up, or you can still pick it up if you're listening live. It is a fantastic game. It's by Paradox. It's the same guys that do Cities, I believe, Cities Skyline, Cities XL, all that kind of jazz.
Oh,
It's
okay, yeah.
the spiritual successor to SimCity.
Right.
Those guys are pretty fantastic. I've lost plenty of hours in Cities as well. I really dig it. This is Cities, but on Mars. And so, I mean, you've got to send rockets back and forth for what has it got? It's basically rare earth metals and concrete and all this kind of stuff. You can mine it there on Mars, and you can eventually upgrade to the point where you don't need to send rockets back and forth. You're all self-sufficient and all that. You got to bring people, so you have to build domes for the people. This is where it gets a lot like Cities, where those domes contain things like stores and entertainment and lodging and all that kind of stuff. But there's a funny thing about it that your people can apparently go insane. If you don't provide what they need, they can totally go insane and apparently die. They send you a dozen folks at a time, and I was looking at one of my domes, and it said 11 of 14. And I was like, maybe he moved to the other. Nope, the other dome has 12. I think he died. So I don't know what happened to that person. I need to go back in the logs and figure out.
I think I must have missed out on the free one, because I signed up for the newsletter, but I haven't had an email with it in.
Oh, no. Joe, send him the link.
I have to go back for it again.
Oh,
because it won't let me get it. Evidently, I got to shut down all my pop-up blockers.
I picked it up yesterday, and Swift here in the chat says he picked it up too, but I had to link my Steam account, and then it just added it to my Steam library and installed it that way. I didn't sign up for any newsletter or anything, I don't believe.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I did.
Supposed to be emailing it out if you signed up for the newsletter. That's what it said.
Oh, I think you just get the newsletter, which is like, hey, sign up for this, do this, buy this, all this. But
it said when you sign up for the newsletter, you get an email with the game in it.
Oh, maybe that's if you don't have an account.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Because when I signed up for it, I clicked it and it just sent me all the way to the bottom of the page and it said get your game, and then I got the key, dropped it in Steam. But I saw that you can link your Steam too. I guess I just didn't go that route with it. But
I think I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know why I was thinking about it. I think maybe Josh mentioned Humble Bundle or something, but I think I was on the first Humble Bundle. I think I've been using Humble Bundle ever since the very first one.
Yep. And it was indie bundles back then. Humble indie bundles.
Yeah, you're right.
They did 7 or 8 and then branched out a little bit after that.
I don't know if they still do it, but they used to do a thing where they would show donations per Windows versus Linux,
right,
versus Mac OS.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still do that sort of thing.
They might, but Linux and Mac were always consistently, those folks paid more money for the games overall. I think that was true all the time.
Yeah, but I think we were just glad to have games on Linux and Mac OS.
Yep.
Versus
100%.
Windows users get all the games.
That's 100% true, man. Me too. And by the way, this game, Surviving Mars, is Linux native. You don't have to Proton this, Vulkan that, Lutris, whatever. None of that. Just install it, press go. It works fantastic. So that was the whole reason I was plastering it all over the place, because it's a Linux native game for free that we can play right now.
Yeah, they do RPG books too. You can buy, they did a thing not too long ago where you could get the whole Star Trek Adventures, all the Modiphius published books for $15 through Humble Bundle. And of course they're all PDFs, but they do that sort of thing all the time. They always
yeah,
have. It's
yeah.
a good website to just watch. There's always good stuff.
Heck yeah.
It's throwing some kind of error every time I try to log in. I know I have an account with them, but yeah, it's not letting me. So
Time to reset password.
no, it's throwing an error saying I need to disable all the extensions. I'd already turned off the uBlock Origin for that website, hoping that was it, but evidently I need to shut down all my extensions.
You got
I
me. I've
don't
never
know.
had a trouble with extensions. I got uBlock pretty much everywhere, and that's how I log into Humble Bundle too. So I don't
Maybe
know.
I'll turn on Firefox here in a little bit and give it a try. See what
Yeah.
happens.
I mean, Firefox will fix everything for you, man.
Oh
I
yeah.
had a friend. I had a friend that was running Chrome, and for some reason, it wouldn't go to Amazon. Like Chrome, Amazon, what? So anyway, I was like, try Edge because it's baked into Windows, right? And he tried that. No, Amazon. I was like, okay, well, try Firefox then, and it worked. So something was up with all of Chromium. I don't know if it was that day or what the deal was, but Firefox fixed it up. So you got me, man. It's weird stuff. Anyway, that's enough about me. Joe, what have you been up to?
Well, lots of projects over the last couple of weeks. Lots and lots of 3D printing. It's been real fun. Some friends saw some of the 3D printing that I was doing and made some requests for 3D printed presents, which is good
Mhm.
since medical has been keeping us on our toes financially, and
Mm,
3D prints are cheap.
yes, they
Um,
are.
I've printed out a couple of Baby Yodas. I had printed out one just, as a test print because I had problems with one of the hands on my other printer. So, and then a friend of a friend saw it and decided they wanted one, so I printed one out for them. And then
Cool.
I 3D printed out this little dice tower slash storage slash coaster for your soda cans. I think it's pretty cool. And then
Yeah.
I bought some Stanley disposable blades
Okay.
and used those to make a wire stripper and two different styles of box cutters.
Oh,
Just
that's
because
pretty
I
cool.
thought they were cool. Yeah. And like they'll fit in the pocket. The one's a fold out, the other one's a slide out.
So you make the wire stripper is 3D printed, and then it just has a slot to slide in the blade.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. And then that one's a little small, and there's a couple of different designs on Thingiverse for it, but that one should work out pretty well. I also assembled a new Bluetooth audio adapter. The one I was talking about making a few weeks ago, I finally got down to putting it together. This was done using an old non-repairable Bluetooth headset that allowed for pass-through charging, unlike the last one I did. Although I will say this one's like double the thickness of the other one that was a Sony model. But it's because I needed to use both sides because there are two boards with charging on one side and controls on the other. So it's, good, like probably 2 inches thick, maybe. It's currently being held together with a bit of tape because I don't want to glue it in case I need to come back and do some more repairs to it. And yeah, gluing would make that fun. I am going to design a 3D print of an outer case for it, which should hold it together properly and allow for future repairs and modifications. Because of how I ended up having to place the new 3.5 millimeter jack on it, I did also have to buy a right angle adapter that would sit mostly flat. So that way it's not like sticking out the side and trying to put that in a pocket. That wouldn't have been good. It'd end up with a lot of broken 3.5 millimeter jacks if I had done it that way. And then I was working during a thunderstorm from my garage computer slash server when the power went out for a second. This caused some kind of corruption on the SSD, which prevented me from rebooting into the OS. I probably could have repaired it given enough time, but I needed to get back online and back to work. And I'd been planning on nuking and paving it eventually anyway, so I wiped the SSD and installed a fresh copy of Mint. Couple of things there. Evidently, my backup of the home folder was not as recent as I thought it was because my VM image was not available on that backup. The one that I did, I think, back in, December, and presented on the show. All of the data that I needed backed up was backed up, of course, but some things you just don't think about backing up, like your cron tab. And I had a lot of automation set up in my cron tab. I was able to get back up and running quickly and get the remote software for work set up as well. And I also began to get the applications that I use reinstalled, including X2Go, Mumble, Audacity, got those all set up right away. Next thing to do was to map all of the different hard drives that I have in that thing set up so that they're there at start and read and write's working correctly. I needed that because, well, I'm planning on resetting up my Plex server, and it needs to be able to see those at boot. Next, of course, I had to install Plex and fix all the matches for my library. I don't know if anybody's had to go through that with several hundred different shows and movies and everything, but if the matches don't come up right, it's a slow process to go through and find all the ones that don't match or were matched wrong and then force them to the correct matches. Then I had to reset up that VM and make sure that the VPN-only traffic is working again, and then get QBitTorrent set up with all the feeds that I want. But thankfully, I had the old show notes to go back to and go through and get my step-by-step process from there, and so that made things relatively easy to set up again.
See, if nothing else, man, doing the show forces you to take notes, huh?
Yeah, which is great. Also, I did get Resilio Sync mostly set back up again and have the torrent folder set up, so that way if I download a .torrent file on any of my machines, it automatically goes to the correct location. Also, my phone folder, which isn't quite set up yet because I already had a whole bunch of books moved and ready to go, so it'll be a little while before I really need to set that up. But that also means that I'm going to have to go to each of my other machines, my other laptops, my tablets that are running Linux, and redo all the links on that. All the file automation has to be redone. I spent a lot of time tinkering with crontab to get the files to move to the correct locations, but still not done yet. Had to reinstall all those messenger apps that I use for you guys, so that was quite fun. I mean, and then the ones for work as well. And I see why I have gone so long without doing a proper nuke and pave on that system.
Yeah.
I'm also looking
Everything
for...
just gets so ingrained, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's, probably 10 years of updates on there instead of doing a nuke and pave, and all the automation that slowly builds up over time, and then all the background applications and all that other stuff, because, you go to try to install something and then you find out your backend dependency heck because,
Yeah.
previously you had that stuff installed and now it's just not there.
Yeah.
The one thing I am looking for something new is a new audiobook server. I mean, Subsonic was really good for a lot of years, but I do want something a little bit more updated. So I'm looking into that for now. And that's really about it. Bo, what have you been up to?
Oh man, working mostly. non Linux related work headaches for the most part. But I did want to touch on something that I talked about last week. So last week I talked about how I was trying to find an in-person studio for another podcast that I do, and I was considering using like a public storage unit kind of thing.
And you just decided to dig a hole and then just make a room down in the ground. Resonance is really good down there, right?
I'm gonna dig a giant hole in my backyard. So I went and looked at some storage units, and the ones. So I wanted something that was like new, because I didn't want it. I didn't want something that had like a whole lot of history, and I kind of wanted something that was like new and felt clean and that sort of thing. And also I needed something that was air conditioned, climate controlled, and all the places around here that do that are like these, like, maybe it used to be a grocery store or something. It's just like a giant, warehouse, or, something that they've cleaned everything out, and then they've bricked up walls for all the units. And then none of the units have roofs on them, and that's how they air condition it. Basically, there's like a ceiling unit, just like there was whenever it was a grocery store, only, it goes down, and because there's no roofs on any of these little rooms, that's how it gets the climate control.
Right.
All the ones that I looked at actually had like an audio system, and they were playing music. And so I can't actually set up a podcast in there, because you would hear the music in the background.
That's
and
why,
so,
man. They're preventing anybody that needs peace and quiet. You're out.
So that's what I was wondering, is do you think they do that on purpose? Like they're like, we don't want anybody trying to film or like record in here. Like we want to try to reduce that as much as possible. So we're just going to pipe in a bunch of 90s radio tunes.
I guess, yeah.
Are you living at a house or an apartment?
I'm at a house. There's just
I
don't have like a spare room.
Do you have a backyard?
Yes.
So
yes.
You could find an old junk camper and like put a power strip in it.
I actually thought of that, and the campers that I've seen are not. I'm not like crafty enough to like fix one up, and if I buy one that's already nice, they're a little too expensive for me.
I'm not saying you need to fix it up, because you're talking about fixing it up and making it into a camper. I'm talking about stripping it out, maybe throwing some wallpaper in there and turning it into a studio.
Yeah, no, I mean turning it into a studio, but most of the ones that I see, you would have to do some sort of carpentry to the walls and things. I don't know. It's a possibility. I'd look into it. That is another concept I thought about, or just putting like a building in my backyard. You do those
one of those
pay-as-you-go monthly things.
Quick
If
build
you're going to
sheds.
do that, though,
yeah.
If you're going to, why bother with a camper? Why not just get a panel van and put the carpentry in that?
I don't think I could do that. I don't think I'd be able to do it. I don't think I'd be able to pull it off. But that would be awesome, though, because then I could pull it. I could drive it to conventions and things.
Oh yeah, live on site.
I need like an old ice cream truck that I just turn into a mobile podcast.
Cool. Oh, okay, now you're edging towards creepy.
No, see, you just sell something out of the truck too, right? Like,
No.
Yeah.
You paint free candy on the side.
Well, yeah, that's the name of Bo's barbecue place. It's called Free Candy.
Free candy. Perfect.
I've got an ice cream truck you can have.
There we go. That's what I need right there. I can see the setup now.
Just get an old VW bus that somebody turned into, camper.
I don't know. I've got to look around. I got to look around for like either a building in the backyard or a camper, or I still like the storage unit idea. It's just I got to find one that doesn't play music, and then I think I'll be all right. It's not real loud. It's pretty quiet.
And allows you to hang out in your unit for hours at a time.
I really don't think they care. I know that whenever I've used them in the past, I've seen people there that were using it for some sort of business storage or some sort of business related. It wasn't just like, junk from their house. And I saw people spending time there or using it as not office space, but like, we got to keep inventory. So maybe they're there.
Right. So they're hanging out for a while.
Time. Yeah, right, exactly. And what are they going to do? Tell me I can't talk? Like, I'm not planning on playing music or anything. It'll just be the podcast where, like, we're just two people talking. Like,
what's your internet connection going to be?
There wouldn't be any internet. We'd have to pre-record it and then do YouTube Premiere. We couldn't actually live stream it there. That would be another downside. But if I did the camper thing, then I could possibly still use my internet, So that may be a better solution now that I know about this, music problem. So I don't know. I haven't come to any conclusions on that. I just thought I'd give an update since I went and looked at a few. And on Crowbar Kernel Panic, Josh and I are going to be testing out Fedora, and more specifically, we wanted to test Wayland and Pipewire and see how well the games that we're running currently on X, how they work in Wayland land. And I haven't tried it yet. I'm behind. I'm a week behind now. I was supposed to already have Fedora installed, and I haven't had a chance to do it. But Josh has already got it installed, and he's seeing good results. He seems to be pretty impressed with the current state of Wayland. So I don't know. We'll have to get more details about that. But I guess until then, Tony, how have you been?
Well, any 1990s science fiction fans out there? Because I've been re-watching Babylon 5. I've just gone through the first season and following an associated podcast called The Audio Guide to Babylon 5. There's a link in the show notes to that. And it's quite interesting because I've seen the show through, well, probably 3 or 4 times over the years. And I found this podcast a few years ago, but didn't really follow it right the way through. So I thought, they're still available, the podcasts, for all 5 seasons. So I thought I'd give it another go because someone bought me the box set of all the seasons plus the movies, and then the spin-off series called Crusade, but they only managed to get through 13 episodes of that. So anyway, I thought, yeah, let's give it a go, because it's a couple of years ago since I watched Babylon 5 all the way through.
That's
and it's been quite good. I've really enjoyed going through the first season, and I've actually watched a couple of the second season episodes now as well. And back in its day, it was really cutting edge because it was the start of CGI, and it was the first show really to make the best use of CGI. So they look a bit clunky these days compared with things like Lord of the Rings and your all your modern TV shows that use loads and loads of CGI. Well, back then it really was. It was the bee's knees. So. But if you've never watched it, and I believe, Bo, you've never watched it?
I've never watched it. I'm a big 90s sci-fi fan myself, but I've never seen Babylon 5. I mean, I watched a few episodes, but I didn't even watch the entire first season.
The first season's a little bit slow. I won't give any spoilers, but it starts to take off towards the end of the first season, and you start getting a little bit more of the story. But from season 2 onwards, for season 2, 3, and 4, they were really cracking seasons. They kind of
like the Next Generation before the Borg.
It's a bit different to that because
no, I'm just saying that Next Generation before the Borg was a little bit slow and a little bit boring, and then after the the first Borg episodes, which I believe was end of season 1, start of season 2, it really picked up and got better.
Yeah, but Babylon 5 from day one was always going to be a 5-year arc. And there was a couple of things they had to change going through, and Stransky, J. Michael Stransky, who kind of originated the show, had always got kind of backouts if cast members dropped out and things like that. But season 4, unfortunately, Warner Brothers didn't renew it. And they didn't know whether they were going to get a season 5, so they ended up shoehorning what would have been season 4 and season 5 into the one season, and then they got taken up by TNT, so they did get a season 5, but it wasn't what would have originally been season 5.
Right.
But that wasn't the best season, but it was still a good season. But go on.
I like the idea of watching the show in conjunction with listening to this podcast that you mentioned. Does the podcast spoil? Is it like does the podcast really spoil it? Like, do I need to watch it?
No. Now, this is the great thing about the podcast. For people who've never watched the show, they split it into 2 halves, the podcast. So they've got the pre-spoiler bit, and then they warn you. They say, if you've never watched, this is the time to leave. This is your homework. This is the next episode we want you to listen to. or watch, because they actually changed the running order slightly, particularly in season 1. Towards the end of season 1, they changed the running order, so it's more in arc format. So it actually makes a little bit more sense, because they filmed some of the shows a little bit out of order and then showed them in the wrong order chronologically to where they should have been in the time arc. So they actually get you to watch them in the way they should have been watched.
That's cool, though.
But yeah, they do say, look, if you don't want spoilers, this is the time to leave and come back next week. So yeah, you get warning not to stay around. Obviously, not everyone listens to that, but yeah, it's well worth doing that if you don't want spoilers and you want to enjoy the show the way it was meant to be watched.
That's cool.
So I've been doing that, and I'm really enjoying that. I've been carrying on with my restoration hobby, and I was on the geeky chat that we have from one of the YouTubers that I watch. We have a meetup. This on the one on Friday night. There was 9 of us there, and someone suggested I go and buy some stuff from Aldi here in the UK, and I ended up buying some other stuff that they had on sale, which was some power banks. They had some phone charging power banks, 10,000 milliamp hour ones, and they were only like £9, which is about $12. So I got a couple of them, and I actually used one this morning. And when I woke up this morning, my phone was down to just over 62%, even though it was on charge overnight. I've been having problems with my charger. And I stuck it on charge on the power bank, and it put 30% charge in about half an hour. So I was really impressed with that.
Wow.
Yeah. It only does up to 2 amps, but if you've only got one thing plugged in at once, it gives you the full 2 amp power. So yeah, it can give a real boost quite quickly.
That's cool.
So I was quite impressed and quite happy I'd bought them. And because it has the ability to use USB-C as well as USB micro to charge the actual power bank. If you've got a USB phone, you only need to carry a USB-C phone. You only need to carry a USB-C charger with you, because you've got a charging cable with you, because you've got it can charge the power bank with USB-C as well. So yeah.
That's pretty cool, nice. Man. I've always I always have one of these things around, mostly charged just in case. And that blizzard that we had here in Texas a few months ago, man, I was really happy I had it. I didn't actually have to use it, but I mean, peace of mind, man. And you just carry it around in your car or something like that.
Yeah, I'd get at least 2 charges and probably 2.5, nearly 3 charges out of a 10,000 milliamp one.
Yeah.
So very happy with that.
Yeah, I never actually tried, but I figured I'd get at least one full one and maybe a half of another one or something like that.
Yeah,
but I mean, I
suppose it depends on your phone. How big a battery you've got in your phone.
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't have power, I wouldn't have Wi-Fi, so I wouldn't be doing a lot of internet surfing. So the phone would last a good 2-3 days if you're not using it a lot. So if
and also because you've got the ability to use your phone, you can tether it to your laptop just to check emails and things like that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that little charger might help me string along for a week if I needed to.
Yeah.
Starting with a full charge, and then just kind of.
But then you're limited to how long your laptop battery lasts.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah. That's a good point. I could just plug them into the batteries and let them drain. I mean, the phone is more important than those things anyway. So, in an emergency situation, so I feel like, yeah, man, I would sacrifice the laptop battery for that purpose. And Lenovo, which I love, always has a battery charging port USB on all of their devices. On the little recording box I have here, on my Lenovo ThinkPad, they all have
dedicated power USB.
Yeah. So that's powered even when it's off.
You can decide in the BIOS, but the point is that it gives you 2 amps. As opposed to the half an amp that you would normally get out of a USB, so you can get some quick charging out of it. So yeah, that's
why I got that one huge charger or backup battery. most specifically because it was USB-C and would do up to 20 volts. So it'll do super
Right.
fast charging on my phone, but it's also capable of charging my my Lenovo tablet.
hmm
So
Cool.
I can stay online for quite a while if I need to.
Yeah, these little battery packs are fantastic, and yeah, just batteries in general are awesome.
Yeah. And anyway, that's that. And lastly, myself, Moss, and Dale recorded episode 23 of Distro Hoppers Digest last Wednesday, and that was released on Friday. So if you've not picked up your stream of that, go and check it out. Dale did a fantastic review of FreeBSD, and he really gave some of the history around the BSD project. So that is well worth a listen if you've never had a look at BSD or any of the free versions of it.
Well, in the check this out, which will come in the second podcast that we release, I may not have put in the notes yet, but Hello System. Have y'all seen that?
Oh no.
It's basically, it seems to me it's basically trying to be Mac OS, and I mean Mac OS is built off of a lot of BSD and Unix and all this stuff.
Yeah, we mentioned that in the show.
So Hello System is going for the whole paradigm. They're doing the whole. It seems like the whole GUI. I mean, I'll just hit it real quick because they had a 0.5 release here just recently. Yeah, take a look at this if you can see my screen. You can see what they're going for. And I mean, it's got some of those older looking GNOME elements, but I mean, just look at that. That's Mac. I mean, they're not trying to hide it. Elementary. It just is that.
Yeah.
And man, it looks okay to me. So I'm wondering, is it worth it to take a look at something like this? I mean, I know we should listen to the show and everything, but I mean, how did Dale come out on FreeBSD?
He liked it. He said it was install wise. He said it was very similar to doing a full install of Arch from scratch. He said so. It's probably not FreeBSD is probably not for a newcomer, but that system, if that's an easier install, that might be a way of getting into FreeBSD.
Yeah, I think that's the point.
In an easier way.
Yeah, simplicity, elegance, and usability. I don't think you get any of that stuff if the installer is not easy. So
yeah.
I guess it's just totally worth it to you. If you want to check it out, it might be worth a shot. This particular one, but I'll stick this in the check this out as well. Just because I think it looks cool. But
cool.
I've never cared much about BSDs, so it'd just be kind of nice.
And of course, Moss was looking at Manjaro, so the latest release. So if anyone's interested in Arch with via Manjaro, that's worth listening to as well.
For sure.
So that's it for my wanderings. So shall we move on to the news?
Let's. All right, we got new Linux Mint crumbs. Crumbs. Because I think they're saving all the good stuff for UMA, which is Linux Mint 20.2. And the beta, mid-June. So right about now-ish, I imagine. Sometime next week, I would guess. We're going to see the beta release of UMA. We'll see a lot of people kicking the tires on that. Anybody going to try that?
I'll probably give it a go.
Yeah.
We'll probably wait and a couple of months after the full release is done before I upgrade my box. But I might give the beta a run out on one of my spare machines.
I'll probably upgrade the day it's available because I'm going to try it on the beta. I'm going to just try the beta as much as I can, see if everything is working and all that. And then, I mean, when it launches, I'll have already tested it. So
I'll do first, once the release is out, I'll probably upgrade my laptop first because that's not as mission critical. And then if that goes smoothly, I'll upgrade my production box.
Yep. So I'm excited for this. I hope, because apparently today would have gone a whole lot better had I've been on kernel 5.11 as Ubuntu is, as Linux Mint normally should be. I hope with the release of UMA 5.11 is available as well. I know it's available. I know you can just, apt install whatever, blah, 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 and get it to work. But there's a little bit of extra feeling good about it by doing it through the Linux Mint little kernel utility thing. It's just a shame that 5.11 is not available in there. Anyway, outside of that, hopefully I get that. But what you will get with UMA is bulky. Now, I've heard over and over and over again, hey, if you're just doing some renaming operations, you should probably just do them in the command line. And I feel like by the time I figure out the regular expressions I'm going to need to do, 15 renames, I could have easily just manually done it. So I think that's, I don't know, I guess you just have scripts pre-built and ready to go. But I mean, it's that front loading kind of thing, and then you'll be free for the rest of your life forever. But it seems like bulky takes a lot of that out, a lot of the guessing, a lot of that kind of thing out. Because what it is a bulk renaming piece of software. So you get all of these. You feed it in files, and then the new name, you can decide what that's going to be, and then just hit rename. You can automate it if you'd like, so find anything with doc in it and replace it with that name. It works a lot like find and replace in Word. So if you're familiar with using a word processor's find and rename, this is how that works. And if you want, you can do the whole regular expression make my mind explode stuff as well. So that is kind of nice, especially if you're one of those folks that are like, well, just get used to regular expressions and you'll never have to worry about it again, right? Teach a man to fish and all that. But this is really nice. Something that's been available in XFCE for a while, that is now going to be available in Cinnamon and Mate. So everybody gets a little taste of this. It'll be good. One other thing you're going to get is Nemo content search. So I don't know about you, but Windows' fuzzy search is pretty decent, right? You search for a particular thing, and it will find you files with the word within the file, not just in the file name or in the metadata or something like that. Actually in the file. So if you're dealing with text files or something like that, and you search, Joe, something like that, you'll find files that are named Joe, as well as files that have the word Joe within it as well. So that's something that we haven't had in Nemo for the longest time. It made your searches very narrow, but now in Nemo 5.0, which is going to come out with Cinnamon 5.0, we're gonna see the content search as well, which is going to be really nice. It'll make my searching a little less frustrating, because I know it says that, I just don't know what it's called. So that's what I have to deal with every single time I do a search. Anyway, that's pretty nice. And then those of you that are running those weird AMD hybrid setups in your laptops, AMD support, oddly enough, is going to be baked into the NVIDIA Prime applet, right? So, yeah, NVIDIA Prime. Huh. AMD support. Well, we lost Joe. Oh, no. Work calls.
No,
So we'll say goodbye.
you didn't lose Joe.
Not
You lost
Joe.
Bo.
Oh, you rhyme. It's the same thing.
Hey, I'm still here for. I'm saving my audio feed for you guys, but yeah, I gotta head out.
Ooh. All right. I
apologize.
appreciate you coming. No worries, man. Work calls. All right. So AMD support. Yay. So if you have an AMD NVIDIA hybrid whatever system, that will now be available for you to tinker with in NVIDIA Prime. So that's nice for those folks that have stuff like that. And then Warpinator. The upcoming version of Warpinator will feature the ability to select which network interface you want to use. Now, this wouldn't have been a problem for me because I didn't have the driver for my network interface card, so I wouldn't have had to choose, right? But if you have multiple NICs on multiple networks, or using Wi-Fi and a physical network card, something like that, Warpinator can get confused or just default to one over the other, and this update will allow you to choose which one you want. And I think that is a fantastic step up in security. That is really good for us. So awesome stuff. And then it looks like also compression is getting added, which means that as long as it's on both machines, you can compress the data before you send it. So you're trading CPU cycles for bandwidth. So if you've got a pretty hefty CPU, you can compress stuff before you put it on the wire, and that will make the transfer way faster. But again, remember, you're sacrificing some CPU. So CPU time to compress it before you send it, and then CPU time on the other end to decompress it once you download it. But if you're on slower network connections or something like that, this is going to be a huge help. I would sacrifice all the CPU cycles for faster transfers over really crappy Wi-Fi or something like that. So all in all, good stuff. And I don't remember on the last one, did we say that Cinnamon 5 was going to be in UMA? Did we decide that was going to be the case? Let's see. Does it say? It doesn't, but I've seen on a couple of different 9 to 5 Linux specifically did say Cinnamon 5 was releasing with UMA. So soon. We'll see it. So pretty cool. Nice to see some stuff coming down the way. It's good stuff. Now, what is this? Who put this one here? Because I did not follow up on it.
I put this one in. In the last show, we were talking about Audacity and the fact that it'd just been taken over. And as a result of the community's concerns about the plan to introduce telemetry, basic telemetry into the project, there's been a little bit of a U-turn. Or as the register said, there was a screech and smell of burning rubber as the new managers of the open source audio editor Audacity have announced a U-turn. They're no longer going to do it at the moment.
Man,
they may investigate doing some simpler things in the future.
Yeah, I get not using Google and Yandex. I get that. And I really respect the fact that they had turned it off by default. I mean, you got to go dig in the settings. I saw the way that they were going to set it up, and you really had to dig in. I mean, go down to the advanced and scroll and find the thing and turn on the telemetry. Like, I feel like they did telemetry right, but yet the amount of backlash they got, I guess, was just you can't ignore it. You can't ignore something like that. So
I think this is more to do with communication and talking to the community before you decide to do something.
Very true, very true. So you think they're gonna try and do it again? I think
they might. About it? They might talk to the community and say, "Look, if we want to get some telemetry, what would be acceptable to the community, and how should we go about doing it?" Because I think, like we talked about on the show last time, there are certain things that makes open source software better if they've got more up-to-date information on how many people use it, what kind of utilities within the program that you're using, and all those kind of things, what plugins people use and stuff, and getting an idea of where they need to go with the development of the project. So I don't think telemetry is necessarily bad, which is what we said last time. I think it was just the way they implemented it and didn't talk to the community first.
Oh, yeah, look at this. They got some quotes here. So Kiri told the register that Muse Group had not completely been taken aback by the reaction. Telemetry is a very contentious issue after all. What wrong-footed us, he said, was what wrong-footed us completely was that the news got out before we were ready to make an announcement about it. And he goes on to say it was a completely innocent mistake that ended up doing the announcing for us in the worst way imaginable. So, it doesn't seem like they were surprised by it at all. It's just pretty bad, I guess, the way that it happened. So, I guess itchy trigger fingers got him.
Yeah, so I expect we'll get some more news about this down the line. Might be 6-12 months before they approach it again, but I think we'll probably get something in the future.
Yep, here it is. Kiri remains keen on telemetry to inform where time and effort need to be invested. And I mean, I agree with that. You need it. No one's going to come up and tell you exactly how they use Audacity. Well, there'll be 10 people, and they'll be extremely adamant about their way is the only way that anybody should ever use Audacity. So that is the way that you should develop for it. Right? No. So telemetry is really the only way to get that feedback. Anyway, he said options including make it a fully optional add-on that users could elect to install have been mooted. Although he told us we'll have to make do without telemetry for the time being. So they're going to do it. And I support them in doing it. But God, just don't do Google and Yandex. That was really my big thing where, I get it. Software's got to do telemetry, but just don't do that.
Yeah.
You can do the telemetry. Just don't do that, please. Anyway, an interesting thing. I guess the community has won for now. But the next thing, for now, it's coming, and they'll do it nicely. It seems like that's going to be a good thing. But I think we just need to be okay with telemetry. I think there's really not going to be much otherwise, unless you don't care. And I mean, I think it's fine to not care as well. If you don't care about user feedback and you're making software for yourself, or you're improving it based on the way that you decide that you want software to go, then that's fine too. You'll never need telemetry at that point. But still, I guess bug reports and things like that are still pretty useful.
Yeah.
Anyway, in another edition of Can We Please Get Away from Chrome, Vivaldi 4 is out. So I'm very, speaking of keen, I'm very keen on Firefox. I really think Firefox has done a great job with their upgrade. But there's plenty of folks out there that don't like Firefox for whatever reason, whether that be their social media posts or whatever, or they just don't like the software. It's not fast or snappy enough for them or something like that. There are other options. Well, I've talked about Brave a lot on this show, and we've mentioned Vivaldi, but here's a big milestone. So one of the coolest things is that they've got a translate feature now. Built in, it's Vivaldi's own translate feature, and I think it's pretty fantastic. So this is basically going to be a competitor to Google Translate, where in Google Chrome and Chromium, you have the ability to, when you hit a web page, Chrome pops up and is like, hey, you want to translate this page into whatever. From this to that, and it's very, very easy to do. So in concert with Ling Van X, I don't know if that's how you actually say that, but that is the company that's going to help Vivaldi translate pages as you need. So very, very interesting stuff. And then, since we haven't talked about Vivaldi, you kind of got to talk about the things that it has, right? Add and track blocker. They've got their own end-to-end encrypted sync that you can sync your passwords and history and all that kind of stuff as well. So it's a good browser that you can get your hands on. And one of the other things that I've seen that is new in 4.0 is that you have 3 different ways to install it. So once you install it, you get a choice. Do you want the Essentials, which gives you the ad blocker and the tracking blocker and the translation service out of the box? Or you can go with Classic, which gives you the panels and the status bar and the fast forward and rewind. Or you can do the fully loaded, which includes a mail app, a calendar app, and a feeds app, all in the same box. So it seems to me that the browser thing, I had made jokes about it before, where the browser is just becoming an operating system that you install on top of your operating system to get all your stuff done, right? I mean, if you go to, Drive to do all of your word processing stuff, you go to Nextcloud or, I guess Drive as well to save all your files. You go to YouTube to watch all your TV, and then the list goes on and on and on and on about, everything you do is in the browser, right? I mean, shoot, half the apps that I've got running on my machine could just run in a browser. I think Telegram is probably the only holdout, and maybe Audacity. But just about everything else you can do in a browser. I'm pretty sure you could live stream just within the browser. I think Google gives you that ability. So, I mean, the browser is where you go. Mail, calendar, feeds, all that stuff in the browser. So, seems like Vivaldi is...
I don't think you can natively do Telegram in a browser, but you could do that Matrix bridge.
True. Actually, yeah. So, I mean, if you just sign in with Matrix, then, and you're doing mintCast and there's a bridge. I mean, there is a bridge for mintCast. You don't need Telegram either. So it's just, you can do just about everything in a browser. So long story short, Vivaldi is embracing that. And they've just fully loaded it with everything that you would normally need outside of some very specific stuff. I mean, honestly, at this point, you could just auto launch Vivaldi in full screen, and what you got Chrome OS. I mean, it's there, all of it's there. So you can jump in on that mail beta now. You get a Vivaldi address. I did sign up for the Vivaldi sync, and you get a Vivaldi address. So it's like vivaldi.net or something like that, or .com. I can't remember. But yeah, they'll do webmail for you all the way, or you can just add your own, I think. So that's pretty nice. It seems okay to me. I mean, looks like Geary, which is what I use now. Anyway, so they've got a lot about their email, and their feed reader is the same kind of way. You just, go to a website. There's a feed. You click on the feed thing, adds it to your feed, and now you get all the news from that website. I mean, it's what you would expect. Calendar works the same way. All of that kind of good stuff. So, all right. I know I love Firefox. What do y'all think about Vivaldi, though? Any, you feel like you're gonna give it a shot?
I haven't tried it, so I might have a look at it.
I thought the one thing that got me about Vivaldi was that it does not integrate stylistically with your operating system. It just doesn't. By default, it looks like that red bar on top. And that clashes with every Linux system theme in existence. It mostly clashes with Windows as well, unless you choose one of the themes that integrate. And Mac, oh wow, I think that doesn't mesh well with Mac either. So you can go in though. The themes are fully editable. The accent colors, the main color, all of that stuff. So what I did is I just did a screenshot of my Linux desktop, did the color picker on each of the little areas, and then matched Vivaldi with it. And at that point, it looked good. So my only real gripe was that it just didn't look right. It didn't fit. So everything else is pretty fantastic though. I have my own feed reader thing, so I didn't use their feed reader, but the mail was kind of nice. Anyway, so speaking of that translate feature, Firefox has one too. So if you go check out the nightly build of Firefox, there is a new translate in there. So it's disabled by default, but you can go turn it on, and it only does a couple of languages right now. I think Spanish and something else. What was it? Estonian. Now, how did Estonian get up there before?
That's very useful,
French?
isn't it?
One of the developers spoke Estonian.
That's probably it. But that's really cool. I mean, so I imagine Firefox maybe in 90 or 91 is going to debut this feature. And I think that's going to be just... So here's the thing. Here's the whole reason I put it in here, right? You've got Google and Brave and Vivaldi and Microsoft and all of these other browsers, all of these other companies that are investing in Chromium. All of their eggs are in that basket. They are Chromium ride or die. So how is it that a company like Mozilla can, I'm not going to say one-to-one, but how can a browser like that keep pace with these other browsers, these other companies, multi-billion-dollar companies, putting their money into an open source project? How can Mozilla keep up? How is that possible? I can't think of anything other than kudos to Mozilla. Whatever you think about the company, whatever you think about the browser. I mean, it is as fast as Chromium. It's got the same types of features baked into it. It's got an extension library that is vast and wide, and yet somehow are still able to keep pace. I think it's fantastic. So another little, this is why I use Firefox kind of thing.
Weren't Google paying Mozilla for putting things in Firefox for quite a while?
I think they were paying Mozilla, and I think Joe and I kind of had the conversation where it's antitrust prevention kind of stuff, right? I mean, if you keep your competitor alive, but what I'm getting at though is that whatever Google pays Mozilla is way less than the companies that develop Chromium put into it. So somehow Mozilla is still able to keep pace, and it's flabbergasting. I never used that word, but I'm going to use it today. It's flabbergasting, the things that they can do, and the hate that they take for it.
Yeah. But they are losing market share as well, aren't they?
They are. But I think here's the deal. By the way, this is one thing that we never really talked about, and I'll talk about it really quick. But the visual redesign was not for the people that are already using Firefox. It was hopefully going to be tolerated by those people. But this visual design is meant to bring more people in, and I think it was the right move. And for all of the gnashing of teeth that we're getting on people that use Firefox and how it's different, it's not that different.
No,
I get the accessibility argument. I totally get that. Fix that, Firefox, like soon. But the fact that the tabs are in the same spot, everything is generally in the same spot. So if you had muscle memory built into it, you already had it figured out. But I think it was needed. I think Firefox looked old. I think this visual refresh, this facelift, is gonna help when you're making a commercial or something. I feel like this browser looks way better than it did in the past. So from that perspective, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I just think you were talking about accessibility, and accessibility isn't just about features, it's about design as well. And I think by reducing the size of some of those icons, that's also reduced its accessibility, because not everyone's totally blind, but if you're partially sighted, having things bigger helps. And even using screen magnification and things like that, it just makes it a bit more clunky.
So look, I'm doing it now. I know it doesn't answer your problem, but if you're watching the thing, you can crank it up a couple of pixels,
right?
Which does, it seems. Let me see. There we go. It's still smaller, but I feel like that's probably big enough. But I don't know, maybe not. I don't need help finding it. So if I did, maybe I'd have a better opinion about it. But you can crank it up a little bit.
Yeah, I think if you're going to do these things, you should be talking to the people that use these facilities.
Absolutely.
And need the accessibility features to get them right.
Exactly. I mean, I would assume
it's no good talking to me and you because we can see.
Right.
Or if we're deaf, if someone who's a deaf user, it's no good talking to a hearing user if you want to give people accessibility for the deaf.
Exactly. I mean, that's my only real gripe with 89 is that they took away some accessibility features that were there that they shouldn't have gone. They just should not have gone. The icons need to come back. The little sound icon thing, whenever you're playing music, it just says playing, and you have to hover over the tab to be able to get that little sound icon to be able to mute it. I mean, you have to know that that's there in the first place. Like, just put it there, put it back. That would be fantastic, and it's a nice visual cue instead of having to look for teeny tiny little text that says playing.
Yeah, and even the download icon, it's not as clear as it used to be. When you were downloading a big file, there used to be a blue bar underneath the download, and you could see the progress quite clearly. Now it doesn't seem to show up quite as clear.
Oh, I actually like that change because it integrates in exactly the way that GNOME works. It's a little pie.
Right.
And it'll go around when your downloads are done. And if you pull it down, you can see the progress. But yeah, I mean, I can totally see how the old way was fine as well. But the sound thing though, it just dawned on me. I don't run a gajillion tabs, but I know a lot of people that do. And I don't know how they do it, but they do. And if you had sound going on, how would you know? Because there's not enough room for the playing word to be there. So do you just have to hover over all the tabs and just hope you find the right one? Because if there's 80 of them open, good Lord help you, you're gonna be looking for a little sound icon that's not there immediately. You have to hover over it just right to get it to show up. So
in Firefox, you mean, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would assume that's how it works. I have no idea, but because again,
because like in Chrome, when you have 100 tabs open, whatever spacing for the icon is at the very top, then that is where the whole thing will basically be taken up by the little symbol that shows that sound is coming from there.
as it should be. I mean, the whole point of putting the little playing thing on there is so that you can easily identify which tab is playing audio and easily identify how to mute it. That was the whole point, and I feel like we kind of took a step backwards on that. So, yeah,
In case you accidentally Rickroll yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, Mozilla's not getting a pass from me on this. I just really enjoy the new theming in general. But I do think that there's some things that need to be fixed, and I mean, those are pretty much it. Anyway, enough Firefox bashing. TechMint.com has the best Linux distributions out there. What do we think about the top one being RHEL 8? Yeah, best distribution, says TechMint. Is RHEL 8.
Yeah, but are they coming from a server thing, or are they coming from desktop?
Oh, just wait, Tony, because
hey, RHEL is pretty cool.
The second best distribution is the same distribution that is no longer the same distribution because it's CentOS 8 Stream now, but CentOS 8. So I think these guys really have a server. Wait a minute, the same distribution again. What? So we get RHEL 8, we get CentOS 8, and then we get Alma Linux, which are all generally the same distribution.
This is just a fork of CentOS, right?
Because of course, yes. No, it's a fork of Red Hat, not CentOS. So
okay.
So yeah, and then we get who would have thought? Something is fishy here. We have 4 Red Hat derivative or Red Hat itself distributions, one after the other, and for some reason, the screenshot is Fedora 31. Guys, look, guys.
Have you looked at the top of the screen? Is there something in very, very, very tiny one print that says we are sponsored by Red Hat?
Oh, is it? Or are you saying that there is there? Or are you just making the joke?
No, I'm just saying, is there?
Because I feel like
the ideal Linux blog for sysadmins and geeks. That's what it says at the top.
Right. So sysadmins that totally, kind of bends the scale toward Red Hat and Ubuntu and things like that. But it's funny that we get essentially the same 3 distros, and then the newest, the bleeding edge version. And
then the next one.
Yeah.
No. After Fedora, keep going. Yeah. So all the ones up above are all Red Hat based, right?
Yeah.
And then the next one is Debian, like pure Debian? I mean, really?
Pure Debian. Well, for a server, I totally get it. For a server, I totally get it. I just think it's funny that it took the 5th one to show the first Debian there. I think that's kind of funny.
Yeah, but Debian over Ubuntu 2004?
Yeah. Well,
scroll down, because that's the next one.
Still a long-term support, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. You get 5 years of support, 10 years if you pay for it. So I mean, you could really string along an Ubuntu install 2004 forever.
But Linux Mint 20 did make the list.
Yep, exactly. And that was actually one of the biggest reasons I put it on here. I just thought it was hilarious that the first 3 distros are the same distro, and then with a different name, and then Fedora, which is the bleeding edge one, and then we get to all the Debian derivatives in it.
But if you
now, hold on, just 1 second here, because now this was an article for the best Linux distributions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Kali Linux is on this list.
Oh, hold on. We'll get there. So Linux Mint 20, Ulyana is here. I think it's a great choice. Just I would say upgrade to 20.1, and when 20.2 comes out, upgrade to that as well. But I mean, you can stay on Ulyana for quite a long time.
Yeah, but again, if you're coming from a server background, they tend to only do security updates. They don't tend to do anything that could potentially rock the boat.
True.
So that's probably why they're on 20.
But I feel like if you're running server stuff on Linux Mint, you're weird, Joe. You're weird.
Well, you're wrong.
I know.
I will run server stuff on whatever I want to run it on.
Oh, you go right ahead. Linux is Linux. I mean, I'm just pulling your leg. You run it however you want to. I'm just a not GUI guy. So I feel like, go pure Ubuntu with that.
Well, I drop to the command line for stuff like that all the time, but if I'm already running Linux, if I'm already going to have a front end on there and be using it as a desktop as well.
Yeah. I ran Linux Mint that way for a long time. I'm sorry, Tony. What?
Didn't Ubuntu just extend their support period for 12.04?
Really?
For people that wanted to stay on it. So there is, people out there prepared to pay for extended support.
Jeez, that's insane. So yeah, the 10 years on 2004 or
Well-
1204 would be done next year in
Yeah,
April.
and I think they
How-
announced a while back that they were going to extend it.
Jeez.
How long were people willing to pay for extended support of XP?
Oh, true.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, they would continue to pay for it right now. Honestly, they probably are. And then we start getting into what you would kind of expect, I think, on a distro list like this, Manjaro. So if you want the latest of the latest without getting bitten every update or something like that, especially if you install a lot of weird stuff, Manjaro made the list. But Kali, what?
Right?
No,
Right. That's
I
a very
know-
specialized distribution.
It
I mean,
is.
Who's really going to run Kali? I'm sure that there are people that will, but who's going to run Kali as their, daily driver for Linux?
Okay, so I mean, to their credit, Kali has done a lot of things that are user-facing that would allow you to not log in as root by default. You can change it.
Right.
And
But that was just last year when they started doing that.
Yeah, and then here recently they've moved over to Zish for the terminal, and they have a lot of cool customizations that are baked right in and all that kind of good stuff. So I mean, it's becoming, the line is blurring a whole lot more on Kali as a daily driver, but I still wouldn't do it. There's so many things. Like Kali is a lot like Arch in that, you install the right cocktail of packages and then you're just one update away from blowing something up.
Yeah, but and the other thing is, surely as a pen tester, if you're trying to hack into someone, you're getting paid to try and hack into someone's system. You don't want to leave any traces of where you're coming from. So you're going to have a clean system that is purely for that. You're not going to have your day-to-day stuff on that system.
Yeah,
because otherwise that could potentially identify you as a hacker.
Not only that, but on a day-to-day system, you're going to be installing other things, not necessarily things that identify you, but probably you will. But you're going to be installing other things as a daily driver, things that you use every day, and those could potentially have an impact on all of those various, pen testing programs that are there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even if it's just slowing them down while you're trying to get things done.
Mm-hmm. And so next on the list though is OpenSUSE, but they don't specify which one. They do mention that there's Tumbleweed and Leap.
I would have thought OpenSUSE would have come higher, particularly for server installation.
I mean,
I would
Leap
have thought that definitely come higher.
Ubuntu. Yeah, just like Ubuntu, just like Red Hat, they offer commercial support, all that kind of good stuff. But then again, I guess just because it's RPM based, huh? Well, either way. And then there's Arch.
Yeah, but nowadays the difference between Deb and RPM, it's not massive.
Well, it's massive if you're trying to install Discord or something like that, and there's no RPM.
Yeah, I believe that. But basically, when you're talking about Red Hat and their derivatives all being in the top 4, why not OpenSUSE straight after?
Yeah,
at least.
True. Very true. And then that's it. And then Arch finishes out the list.
Yeah, but they're not making any distinctions on the version of Arch. So,
well, there is no version of Arch. It's the newest, whatever the newest packages are after about a day. That's what Arch is. So there's no version.
Oh, okay.
For it.
Okay.
I can't see anyone in server land
various
Arch
distros.
No, this is pure Arch. So I mean, it's like.
Is that what they're saying? It's just pure Arch?
Just Arch. Yeah, because they had Manjaro up there. So that's an Arch derivative.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just, hey, get that little netboot disk and fdisk your stuff, and yeah, that's Arch. But now
the whole thing with Arch is it's a risk of breaking your system because you're updating every 5 minutes. So why would you run that on a server?
Yeah. Oh, right. Well, I mean, the Jupyter guys do it, but I think they do it for fun. and not because they really believe that Arch is gonna not break or whatever. Because they got Wes over here, tip tapping away every single time anything blinks wrong. So it's just good that it sounds like you can do it as long as you know exactly how you set everything up, and have a good idea of where to troubleshoot. But I had to say one last thing about this, which is this screenshot. They didn't upgrade any of the screenshots, and the other ones are forgivable, but this one is not. You can't get GNOME on here anymore. It comes with XFCE. So come on, update this one. This one you got to update it. That one's bad. The other one, hey man, like look, they're talking about Linux Mint 20, but they have Linux Mint 19 screenshot. Like, come on, you're running them in VirtualBox. It says right here. You can at least.
And I'm not seeing in this article where it says it's the best Linux distros for servers. It just says the best Linux distros.
Well, that's why Linux Mint's in the list. That's why I think Arch is in the list. So it seems to me that article was about general best all around distros that can do all the things, and
as long as Fedora came out on top, or Red Hat came out on top.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the
4
Fedora
slots.
thing. Fedora is pretty fan. Yeah, the top 4, really? The top 4, really? Come on.
In fact, if you're thinking of an all-round distro, I would have put Fedora, and you were looking at Red Hat, I would have put Fedora first.
Yeah.
The drawback with Fedora is you've got to upgrade. You've got to update it every 12 months.
Yeah. Honestly, I would have done Fedora, and then, hey, if you want something like Fedora to run on your server, CentOS, Alma, Rocky, Red Hat, because they give you 16 licenses now. So I mean, yeah, exactly. So, it's cool to look at those lists. I do like those lists. I don't agree with that particular list, but hey, it was a cool walk down the distro lane again, and it's nice that Linux Mint made it. So, OBS, yay! So this was all of my problem. Okay, well, no, some of it was bandwidth, but some of it was also actually, you know what? None of it was OBS's fault. Man, today was
Just
a day.
need somebody to blame.
Yeah, I need somebody to blame, and I couldn't blame Joe for this one, so I was gonna try to do it to OBS, but it didn't work. So anyway, they've got undo and redo, and so this is really awesome for me, because what ends up happening is you spend all this time to get OBS situated just the way that you want to, and then you accidentally drag and drop something somewhere off the screen or somewhere, and it becomes a nightmare to resituate. There's an undo button now. Yay! It's my favorite. Oh man, because I've been in that situation. I've done it, and it's so annoying to have to fix sometimes when you just spend a ton of time doing it.
Just don't install the Flatpak. It doesn't work.
So and that's one of the things. So I was okay. You know what? Hold that thought. Keep that thought. I want to talk about the Flatpak in a minute. So improved capture for laptops. So this is going to be pretty interesting. So when you're using multiple GPUs, the display can be weird. So improved, better. It knows which GPU. That's the deal. Missing files dialog. That's going to be kind of cool. But really, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was Wayland on Linux. We were talking about, I think it was on the Saturday show, what the holdup was with software like Peak to get Wayland support. And in their GitHub, in their README, it was basically there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done, a lot of things that just aren't there, and we have to do a lot of stuff on our end that we just don't have time to do yet. So there's no Wayland version for it. And you can fix it using the Wayland X little converter thingy. I forget what it's called. But I guess the real deal with that is that Wayland's not meant to do that, so Peak would have to make that stuff happen. Anyway, so OBS did. They went through all of the headache and heartache to make it happen. So as long as you're on a distribution that has Wayland and Pipewire, both of those things should start to work now. And I think this is fantastic. But the two distros that I use, Linux Mint and Pop OS, they're their stable versions are not on Wayland, or I think Pipewire's there in Pop! OS because it's on 20.10, and I know Pipewire was installed. And I think in 21.04 though in Ubuntu, it is Wayland by default, right? I think that's right. Anyway, so that means the next version of Pop! OS will be. But Linux Mint, I remember we read somewhere Clem said that Wayland support is just not a priority. So we might not see Wayland support. You don't have to deal with this in Linux Mint, and we might not see Wayland support until Linux Mint 21 or maybe even 22 or maybe never. I don't know if X just sticks around forever. It's not like they're apps that are X only. So, yeah, I mean, there will be support for X for a long time to come. So it's not like you're missing out too terribly much on stuff. But there's a lot of things that Wayland can do that X can't. Anyway, noise removal, I think that's pretty fantastic, but only on Windows. So here, this is the thing. And Tony, this is what I was talking about, where the very first thing you're met with to install OBS is FlatHub, so the Flatpak. But if I wanted my cool audio visualizations that we no longer do, but whatever. If I wanted those, I couldn't install the Flatpak. There's no way to install additional plugins that I found to get them into OBS through the Flatpak. I had to do that through the deb or whatever repo, something like that.
It's not just that. We were talking about this last night on the pre-show chat, and I downloaded the Flatpak because it was the more recent version. And when I went to start it up, it gave an error and said there was a graphical tool that wasn't installed. So there's obviously a dependency issue that I haven't got installed on my system. I haven't done any more looking into that, but I installed I went into the Software Center, installed the regular version, dev. And despite that not giving me a GUI to start it up, I had to go into the terminal and type OBS, and but as soon as I did that, it started up.
Yeah.
So that works in my current system. So there's something in the new version that's coming down through the Flatpak that, because it's containerized, it's not picking up something on my system that enables the other version to work, but it won't work on the Flatpak version.
Interesting. So that's really weird. So I mean, I've got my issues with FlatHub or Flatpak with OBS, and that's just more to the pile, huh? Well, either way, I don't know. If I could fix the plugin issue, I think the Flatpak would be fine. I never ran into issues like that, Tony, but I don't know. I haven't done the Flatpak in quite a while. Anyway, Bo's not here, but he had put in this one, so we'll mention it. Wine on Wayland meets Vulkan, multi-monitor support, and more. So Collabra, the people that are helping out with things like Wine and Proton and everything else, are adding in some additional functionality to Vulkan that communicates with Wayland. And X Wayland was the thing I was trying to think of before, because there it is right there. But yeah, this is going to be fantastic, man. I mean, it seems to me that companies are coming together to make the Linux desktop experience a fantastic one. And I don't know if you're going to say that Linux has a year of a desktop sometime. Right now's a good time to start saying it again. Really cool stuff, because I know there's a lot of people that were complaining about multi-monitor. I think that was one of the biggest ones, multi-monitor support with Wayland. So it looks like... yeah, looks like all of this is going to happen. It's going to be fantastic, man. All right. Well, that's it for all of the news we got. Let's talk about security. So another one that Bo put in there, I think we had converged on this one this week. And so we'll be quick. Linux system service bug lets you get root on most modern distros. Yeah. So the deal with this one is that we recently learned that there was a bug introduced in version 1.1 or .113 of Polkit 7 years ago. So 7 years ago, a bug was introduced that we recently discovered. Kevin Backhouse figured this one out. And it turns out that it's fairly trivial if you have access to the machine. So you can take your tinfoil hats off. This one's not one of those. This one's one of the, if you leave your laptop logged in and unattended at a coffee shop, someone can come in behind you and get root. I mean, to be honest with you, this is one of those physical access is king anyway. So, if you left your laptop unattended, they just walk off with it. Like, they don't need to do something right there unless they're trying to be super shady. But that's kind of the deal. So no need to panic on this one, but there is a need to update Polkit. So Backhouse says it's very simple and quick to exploit, so it's important that you update your Linux installations as soon as possible. So the CVE for this one is 2021 3560. And just, remember, nothing is ever perfect. And this is just an example of that.
So if you get the little cross in your update shield on Linux Mint, run your updates.
Click it.
Because usually it's security.
Exactly. So this update's been available for a couple of days already. So, I mean, if you generally run your updates regularly, then, I mean, no need to panic, no need to worry, no need to sweat it. Just run your updates as soon as you can and you'll get it done. If you are a holdout, for some reason, you are one of those folks that are like, well, I'll only update if I need to update. Well, this is one of those. And you can even, in Linux Mint, and this is what I love about it, it's trivial to just say, I don't want any of the updates except for Polkit. So, I mean, in your update manager, just click the clear, check Polkit, hit update. It'll update only that one package, and you'll be secure from this one. But again, if you don't leave your laptop unattended at a coffee shop very often, you're probably going to be okay anyway. But still, this is one of those types of bugs that affects there. So, yeah, that's the deal. This is why it hit our radar. This is why it was so important. And it gave me a platform to say, hey, run your updates. Because you should. Right. All right. So we got a couple of links for that. The Register, as as the Register does. Their title is 7-Year-Old Make Me Root Bug in Linux. Error handling? Nah, let's just unlock everything and be done with it. So I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, Yusef says the update manager of Mint is just amazing. I agree. I have the one gripe, and it's not an update manager gripe. It's that I can't get the 5.11 kernel through the update manager. That's my gripe. So anyway, I think we're making good time. We didn't have an extraordinarily long show first half this time around, but that'll do it for our security update. We just had the one. So here we are again and again and again. I'm gonna have to repeat the story because the first half of that, the first half goes out on a separate week, and we have to pretend like they're gonna be two totally distinct separate shows recorded separately, right? So anyway, the whole point about today is that we're gonna be talking about live streaming and OBS and Discord and all of the things that we do in general to make everything work. So Joe, what is this? Skirkipy. Yeah, tell me about Skirkipy.
Yeah. Well, this is a setup that I'm doing for next week's live broadcast. So I researched how to make OBS and Discord work together and added in SCR CPY, which is said screen copy, so that I can use my phone camera and my computer camera at the same time with a bit of picture-in-picture, specifically so that I can show a bit of soldering on the Saturday show.
That's right.
If all goes well, I will be showing a full cable replacement and an MMCX mod next weekend on the Saturday live stream. If that goes quickly, I can also show a cable replacement on the driver end of a headset. And repair a retractable that I have set up with MMCX where one side is stopped. That last one should be a really easy fix and done very quickly.
Cool.
Now, I had done that setup, and screen copy wasn't really the optimal solution for me there, in that the camera program, because what screen copy does is it just takes whatever is on your cell phone's screen and puts it onto your computer.
Cool.
in its own little window. So it worked, but the problem ended up being that the camera program on my phone would just turn off after a while of not touching it. And, the screen would lock and things like that.
Right.
So instead of using Screen Copy, I switched to Droid Cam. Now, I could use it as another webcam if I install Droid Cam on my computer as well. But instead, what I'm doing is I'm using it as an IP camera and using Chrome to view it, and then sharing that screen along with my webcam as well. I don't know how practical it'll be to use that setup while soldering, and I'm still looking for my taller tripods, which I loaned to my kids, and I haven't gotten back for some
They're
strange
under a
reason.
pile of clothes somewhere, man.
Somewhere. So I do have my smaller tripods, and it puts the phone relatively close to the, where I'm soldering. But I'm really hoping that I'll be able to show what I'm doing while I'm doing it, and I'll have the ability to zoom in and zoom out to get the proper field of view. Now, one thing about OBS and the setup to share a screen, once you start broadcasting it, it like flips the screen around horizontally.
Right.
So I did have to go in and fix that manually, so that it's flipped back the other way. Now, the overall install of everything to get it to work, I did have to install V4L2 loopback. And the OBS module, OBS V4L2 sync. And I did put a link for that in the show notes.
See, and another one of those things that wouldn't have worked if you were using the Flatpak. I don't know how you would do that.
Yeah, you wouldn't have. It would not have worked because I had to. Well, the first time I ran through, I didn't use the Deb for OBS V4L2 sync. I used. I basically installed from source, and so I ended up installing OBS from source as well, and that worked really well. But the second time around, I really had to get fiddly with getting everything to work, because then I had to go back and put in GCC and a bunch of other stuff. The dependency nightmare there, because they weren't installing automatically. So, but I did get it to work again, and then you have to mod probe the V4L2 loopback, and which creates a virtual output, and then turn on the V4L2 output under tools in OBS, and add the camera and add the screen that will have the web page. Although you could probably directly add the camera output so long as the phone is hooked up to the computer, but then that would also require a second V4L2 loopback. So I'm not sure on that, how well that. Okay, I already talked about flipping it horizontally. I was thinking that I can also use this exact setup for like a group watch of movies with others by adding in the audio output in OBS. I know sometimes with Pulse that can be a problem, so I might have to switch to Jack, but I am willing to give it a try and maybe get Bo and Tony to watch some of the classics that they have missed, or get to watch a movie with my kids while they're in Florida.
Right.
Because I think Tony is still missing out on Labyrinth, probably hasn't watched Legend. And I know that Bo and Tony both haven't watched Malice in Wonderland yet, and then that needs to be corrected. Now, this is all set up on my garage computer, so I can't really show the final product right now on the live stream. Everybody will just need to tune in next week to see if it works.
Where are you going to stream that?
Oh, I'm streaming it to Discord, and then
okay, so it's gonna be within Discord.
Yeah, it's gonna essentially count as a webcam for Discord. That it's going to be sharing my screen and my webcam at the same time, screen and screen.
So you're going to be streaming to Discord, and then Leo's going to be doing the stream to
YouTube. So it'll be on YouTube.
I see. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, that's gonna be pretty cool. And then so Discord has a new thing as well. Let me see if I can find the name of it. Man, I had it. It was on somewhere. It's like, oh man. Okay, you know what, Joe? You had more to say, right?
No, that was all of it. It's all you now, Leo.
All right. Well, I can do that. I'm just trying to find the name of that thing because it's basically a go live. You know what we're doing right here? Exactly right here on
Which
YouTube.
is what we're supposed to be talking about today.
Well, right. But it just dawned on me that the Discord thing has all of this, has all of the features for it. I mean, the whole idea is that Discord wants to steal away the viewership from YouTube and Twitch and do it all within their app so that, you can chat, you can do community, you can do Patreon, you can do everything within Discord. And so, here it is. It's called Stage Discovery. So it's Discord Stage. And it's quite literally what we're doing right now to YouTube, but also to Discord. So I think one of the biggest things is, it's just your presence, right? I mean, if it's there, somebody might stumble upon it. And one of the cool things is there's, not an unlimited amount of stages right now. So, if we can start doing the live stream there, we might get some, discovery, right? It's the whole idea. Well, anyway, I'm just kind of curious about that. In general, about how that works, but apparently with my situation with OBS today, today was not the right time to do any of that. So anyway, the long and short of it, I said I would recap that story. The story basically goes, I was having a tough time streaming to YouTube today. I wasn't getting the bandwidth that I needed. It turned out to be my router. I rebooted the router. I logged back into everything. It looked shaky at first, but it all worked out. And then once I wanted to go live, I clicked the button in YouTube, and it didn't go. Everybody told me this, so I go back and realize I had to restart Chromium as well to make it go. And that whole that whole process took about 25, 30 minutes, and so we were about 30 minutes late starting today. But I will tell you that setting up OBS for the way that we use it is actually not that difficult at all. Honestly, my attitude toward it has always been, is it good enough? Okay, that's it. So prior to this, we did, I did 3 things. That was really all that we did that you could see. And I mean, it was just there to have a moving video on YouTube as opposed to a still picture. The very first couple of streams that we did, it was just the mintCast logo. And if you're audio only, it does not matter to you one bit. But if you're there on YouTube watching something, I mean, at the very least, move the picture. And so that was that became good enough. Moving picture became good enough, right? So what I did was, and this is where a lot of my Flatpak, I dislike the Flatpak OBS implementation because you can't add plugins. So I had to go and get the visualizer plugin, and I really fiddled with it for a couple hours trying to figure out where exactly it is you put plugins. And I found the spot, which was in like varlib, Flatpak, and like 20 other directories, which was annoying in the first place. You dump, just as the instructions tell you to do, you dump it in the plugins folder and restart OBS, and it never showed up. And so I got fed up with it and just installed the official way, which is the official way to install OBS on an Ubuntu derivative is to use the PPA. So I did that, found the directory, and it worked straight away. So Flatpak just didn't do it for me in the first place. But that's kind of the background on that. And so we had a still image on the back. We had the visualizer, which was basically, there was little bars coming up from the bottom that matched our audio. And I mirrored that, flipped it vertically, and so we had him coming from the top as well. So I thought that was good enough. And, well, we got to talking about it more and more and more. And it just came down to, that it wasn't good enough, right? I mean, which is, if you're watching YouTube now, you can obviously see it wasn't. And so we took the next step, the next logical step, which was, just stick our faces out there. Now, this is really where the story begins, right? So we had to figure out a way to do it all. because before it was easy enough because we were using Mumble, right? And that's just audio. Fairly easy to spin one up. I mean, Josh Lowe spun ours up, and we still have the option to use it. It's still up and running. It's still good. But we needed to find a way to integrate in video as well, and that was the challenge, right? I mean, what do we use to do video? Do we stay super duper free and open source? We can use Jitsi Meet or something like that, but that doesn't work in Firefox, and I prefer to use Firefox, or maybe it works in Firefox now. I don't know. I just remember a lot of people complaining about it. Or do we move to something more proprietary like Discord? And I mean, obviously, if you're astute enough, you'll notice that it's Discord. So that's obviously what won out. And so as far as OBS goes, all I really do, here's my setup. My setup is a 1440p screen that I am drawing a box 1080p large within. And that's what OBS looks at. And so I'll log into Discord in a browser. I will stretch that browser fully to kind of meet each of the corners of 1080p. And then the cool thing is I have room on the sides, on the edges, that I can put other controls and things like that on. But here's the deal, though. I was running into a situation where I can't be logged in 2 places at once. Discord won't let you do that, and stream and do all of the things. So what I ended up having to do was set up a mintCast only account for Discord. So mintCast is running on that box with the 1440p screen, and only actually streaming 1080p of it, which is I don't know, pixel wise it's like half. So half of my screen is dedicated to OBS, the other half is dedicated, the other edges really are dedicated to controls, and I just stream from there. Then I come back here to my recording studio and we'll log in normally into Discord, hop in the voice channel, and just start chatting. I do my screen share from this box here so I can control it, right? I mean, that's the whole deal. And the desktop that I'm running it all on, the 1440p machine, that just is watching the screen share. So it's not really that in depth. There's really not a whole heck of a lot of anything that goes into it other than just making sure everything is centered onto the screen. But that does make for a decent live stream. And I think, more interesting than, how to size your window. I think engagement has gone up in general because of that. So, I guess video makes a difference of your face. So, yeah, I don't know. But really, what else is there? We were gonna Bo was gonna talk a little bit about his camera, and that is something that I wanted to go into. And I know somebody in the chat last time was talking about it too. But Bo has a Raspberry Pi powered camera that he uses for his webcam, and I thought it looked fantastic.
Yeah, I just want to say I've never used OBS for streaming. I'm not a YouTube streamer, but I've got to say OBS is, it's great for doing other things as well. It's a very simple to record your desktop environment. So if you want to, if you've got a family friend or just someone who wants a little tutorial on how to do something, you can record your desktop with OBS doing whatever it is and then you can send them the video file. And they can, you've created a little tutorial about how to do something. I've done that on a few occasions.
Mm-hmm. That's how every single one of my Terminal Tricks videos was recorded using OBS. Just doing the screen recording feature. I had voice as well. And then I kicked it off into Kden Live to do some snipping and editing of mistakes and things like that, fast forward and all that. So, OBS is just a Swiss Army knife of anything you want recorded or streamed, it'll do it. I guess the other thing that was really catching us off guard is that we now have 3 shows on the mintCast channel, and juggling the stream key is tough because the last time, I guess if you're deciding to stream and you're doing, and it's going to be more than just you streaming, one of the things you got to remember is that you have to kill OBS after you're done with your stream. Otherwise, you've kind of used up that stream key. If it's in use, it's in use. You can't use it again at the same time. So Bo was trying to stream after our Saturday show, a few hours after our Saturday show, his Crowbar Kernel Panic episode, and couldn't do it because I had accidentally left OBS running and the stream button still on. So yeah, that is a
So you were
limitation.
technically still streaming?
Exactly. So the fix for that, though, is to just generate a new stream key. And so that's actually what I had done between our Sunday show today and our Saturday show, which will happen next week. Those have independent stream keys, so I wouldn't have ever run into that situation. I mean, I didn't do it for that. It was serendipitous that it would have worked in a case like that. And then so that's how Bo fixed it as well. He generated a new stream key, and it worked just fine. So that's one of the big things. And by the way, I keep saying stream key. It's basically the password that you give to OBS so that YouTube knows that it's you streaming, and you keep that secret because if anybody else has that stream key, they can interrupt your streams, or I mean, hopefully they won't do anything like that, but yeah, I mean, they can essentially take over your stream.
A little bit having the password to Zoom and being able to Zoom bomb.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. And the only real way to fix that is to negate that stream key and generate a new one, and then start streaming with that new key. But doing that in the middle of a live stream when all your users are telling you that, hey, your stream's busted or something like that, it's tough. It's like, I mean, the exact same situation I was in a couple hours ago trying to get the stream started. It's like I'm in full-on panic mode, man. I got to get it up. I got to get it going. And it's hard to, when you're in that mode, it's hard to remember exactly how to do specific things. So yeah, if you're caught with someone else with your stream key or something like that, it can be a bit of a panic-inducing kind of situation, getting it going. So anyway, OBS does all the things, man. It absolutely does all the things. Let me see. Let me run through the.
Now, Tony,
go ahead.
Do you post videos on like fixing those die casts onto YouTube?
I do post some videos onto YouTube, but they tend to be videos of completed cars. I've just bought myself a little turntable, and I just do a video capture of a completed.
Okay,
model.
so no live stream, but you do
not at
content.
The moment. Or I don't even video me doing the work because I haven't got that set up yet. I might do that in the future.
It's actually pretty easy to do with just your cell phone.
Yeah, no, but at the moment, the way I've got my workshop, it'd be a bit more complicated. But I'm trying to get my garage set up as a proper workshop. So this summer, I'm hoping to clear it out. And
do you still have all the
I can have things permanently set up in the garage as my workshop, my video area, and everything, set up round my workstation. So
do you still have all the makerspace stuff cluttering up your garage?
I do. The idea is to clear the clutter out of the garage so that the makerspace can actually meet and do some making in the garage. That is
I
one
would
of the
swing by and
to
check it all out if I could.
Right. What kind of camera do you use, Tony, to capture that?
At the moment, just to capture the short turntable videos, I just use my my mobile phone. But I have got a bridge camera, which has got a video function, and I could put that on a tripod and use that. So I'll have a couple of options. I've actually got an early DSLR that I think has video on it.
Well, most of your modern cell phones are more than capable of shooting high quality enough video for a podcast or anything like that.
Yeah, I've actually got that one that I broke, and then the current one I'm using is the one that Josh let me buy off him when he upgraded to an Apple product, shall we say. But you know, my old Nokia 6 is perfectly capable of acting as a video camera, and because I no longer use it as a phone, I could leave that permanently set up.
Yep, absolutely.
Just need to be able to charge it.
It escapes me now because I've been on a webcam for quite a while now. But the software, I know Owen and I were talking about it a lot. To use your Android phone as a camera, as a webcam. I just can't remember the name of the product.
Well, Joe just mentioned it, didn't you? Droid Cam.
Oh, is it Droid Cam? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Well, that's the one you used to use for the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Exactly. And I just, I hadn't used it in a while. But it works.
No,
with,
it wasn't for this show. It was for Big Daddy Linux. That's what it was.
Big Daddy and Linux User Space for a while. But I borrowed a friend's Logitech C910, and that worked good for a while. And then I decided, I should probably give that back eventually. So I upgraded. It costs less than a C910, but I upgraded to a Jellycomb 60 frame per second camera. And on Discord, it's only 30 frames. But I mean, as long as you have enough light, it's smooth as butter, man, and it's actually pretty sharp. So I really enjoy this particular camera. Tony, what do you use right now?
My current webcam is called Siri Home.
Mm-hmm.
I paid about £30 for it on Amazon. I had to wait ages because I got it last year, just after lockdown, and so I had to wait for one to become available because for about 3 months there wasn't a webcam to be found.
It was over a year here. I kept trying to buy a C922.
They're still hard to get and expensive.
Yeah.
I
was lucky getting this one because it's a nice little webcam.
Right. I think right about now things are normalizing. You can buy a webcam now for MSRP. Unlike graphics cards, but. So as things were normalizing, I bought this one, and it's got a little ring light built into it, and it's fantastic, man. I don't have any complaints about this camera at all. I'd recommend it to anybody, as long as you have enough light in your room. In dark rooms, things get really blurry really quickly, but if you can control... In Discord, you can't, but if you can control the frame per second, if you can push it to 60, it negates a lot of that, even in a dark room. You'll get a little bit of grainy, but, I mean, most cameras will do that to you.
Well, this one was just plug and play. I don't know whether there's any menu to it at all.
There's not in this one either. It's all plug and play too. But in OBS, there's when you go into the settings of the camera, which all cameras have, it exposes all of the features that you would normally have to install crappy Windows software for. OBS will just expose all of that to you, and you can toggle it between 30 and 60 frames. And man, I had a Razer Kiyo for a while. I ended up sending it back because it just wasn't great for me at all. So I sent it back. But this is basically a Razer Kiyo. It's the same exact kind of thing. It's got 60 frames per second. It's got the built-in ring light. It's got the extra little clippy thing. You clip it on random weird shaped things. And I mean, but for half the price. The Kiyo was $100. This was $40. So I mean,
so where would I find those settings in OBS then?
Actually. You go to, so you bring in a video capture device, V4L2, and then when you double click on it, for me, I see the device, so you can choose multiple devices, the video format.
I have to on the screen.
No, I can't. It'll break. So I've got YV12 emulated. I think by default it's YUYV422. That's what it was by default, and it was real slow. The video was, so. It didn't work for me, but I tried them all, and YV12 is the best, and then you can change the resolution. All of that, I've got it set to 1080, and then the frame rate, it'll default to whatever if you leave it to leave unchanged, or you can force it. I've got 5, 7, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 60 in here, so you can just choose what you want. And I mean, you can mess with the colors, you can mess with brightness, contrast, saturation, hue, gamma, power frequency, white balance, backlight compensation, blah, blah. There's like 10 more. So there's a ton of stuff built into OBS. And I mean, this is why I love the project so much. This is stuff that you pay tons and tons of money for. and you just don't have to. You do not have to. I mean, throw them a $5 every now and then because it's fantastic, but you know, it's just good software. I can't get over it.
Yeah, I'll go and have a play with that at some stage.
Yep. So yeah, put it in your sources. Right click on it, hit properties. You'll find all of that stuff in there. And man, it's too many features. It's too many. But I did get it to the point where everything was just nice looking and fast, and oh man, it's good stuff. And this camera is good stuff. So I appreciate the camera being good as well.
Cool.
All right. Well,
you had asked what I'm using for a camera.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just using this ancient Microsoft LifeCam.
That's right. You did mention that one time.
It for forever.
You know what's funny though is that ancient or not, that particular camera continues to make its way onto the top 10 cameras to get, blah blah blah. It falls in the budget category, but yet somehow it still makes it every single time. Every time I see a Microsoft something.
I have a couple of different versions of the LifeCam floating around, but this is that cylindrical one that is extremely popular. Yeah, and only does 720p, but it does it pretty well.
Yeah, I think I see it. This one right here. But I guess it was an older version because this is that Chris from Linux Action Show?
Where are you looking?
Look on my screen. See if I can make this bigger. Is that Chris?
I don't know.
It looks like... Okay. Am I going to break something if I play this? Let's see what happens.
They'll demonetize us. Oh, wait.
Oh, it is Jupiter Broadcasting. Yeah, look at that. That's funny. So, I mean, the camera itself looks pretty good. I mean, you can't really fault it for that. It looks good. But
I've just put a link to the Amazon page where I bought my webcam from.
I should probably do the same thing, huh?
Just put it in the mintCast crew general.
Oh, look at that Kyo killer. Oh, right, I guess. Yeah, that's the one. Oh, and it comes with this little thing. It's a magnet that sits on top of and it's just magnetized. I thought that was the coolest little thing, man. Yeah. Oh, look at this. Oh, man, if you're in the US and you want a camera, 20% off. What is that? That's like $10 off, man. Yeah, this is what I paid for, about $40. So, yeah, I'll throw that in the show notes too. Fantastic camera. I was very wary about it.
Jellycomb is making some good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't want to buy it immediately because I was like, man, it's random, pick a couple of words, Chinese manufacturer kind of thing. And then, no, this is a fantastic camera.
Like I have a Jellycomb trackball mouse right here.
Oh.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
All right. Well, that's cool. I didn't know that was a thing. But yeah, it's got three colors. White, yellow, or kind of a mix between the two. But the fact that it does 60 frames per second, that's all I was looking for. That's the whole reason I was going to spend $120 on a C922 Pro or whatever. But I mean, this thing is just beyond belief. It is way better than I had ever expected. So anyway, any last thoughts on that? And Bo had the cool Raspberry Pi thing that we didn't get to talk about today. Shame. We'll talk about it next time, though.
We'll have to have another Raspberry Pi show one of these days.
That might be what we're going to have to do with that. We're just going to have to do another Raspberry Pi episode. And I've done a lot on Raspberry Pis since the last time we've done them, so I'll have plenty to talk about.
I've done absolutely nothing since
the last time. Get in gear, Tony. Get in gear. Do some Raspberry Pi projects. You
just
have
some single board computing love.
Yeah.
I've got a 4 sat in the cupboard and I haven't touched it for months and months.
So much power in that little package, Tony. Come on.
I know.
All right, so we'll coordinate with you. You do some kind of project, and then we'll have ourselves another Raspberry Pi show. Those always go over pretty well. All right. Well, that will do it for our Linux innards, which actually somehow went a decent amount of time.
Yeah,
even without our main
surprisingly.
topic. Yeah. So, anyway, so let's go down to vibrations from the ether. Talk about some feedback. All right. Tony or Joe, y'all take this one. There are a couple of other emails that I need to drop in here because
Oh,
I
I
didn't
didn't
get
see them.
to.
Did just you
Because
get them?
I
Or
don't know. I'm
did they
gonna
come
go
in
double.
like the last hour or something?
You got me, man. I don't know. So I'm gonna go check on those, and then yeah, we'll talk about this one here in just a sec. So,
All right, I can take this one for you.
yeah.
All right, this is from Larry Murphy. Hi, Leo and all. Just before listening to podcast 362.5, I had just rebuilt my computer after 9 years. My previous build was a Asus Sabertooth 990FX R2 motherboard and an AMD 4.1 gigahertz FX 8350 processor. Wow, that sounds like my old setup. 8 gigs of OCZ 1333 DDR3 and a GTX 560 graphics card. I kept my 750 watt Fatality OCZ power supply, upgraded to a Asus X570 Plus motherboard, a Ryzen 3200G processor, and 16 gigs of 3200 DDR4 RAM. I also looked at MSI but stayed with Asus because I knew them. My computer was still working, but I noticed the processor fan had started to make a little noise. I debated about just replacing the fan, but I would still have a louder computer with DDR3 RAM and a 9-year-old processor and a graphics card. I don't game, and so the Ryzen with built-in graphics made sense to me. I am very glad I did. I cleaned and replaced everything.
Yep.
The cleaning took much longer than the rebuild. I had 7 hard drives with a Thermaltake case with 8 3.5 drive bays and 5 5.25 bays. I converted 2 of the 3.5 bays to hold 4 2.5 SSDs. I also added a PCIe card for 5 more USBs, 5 external, 2 internal. My old board had 6 USB 2.0s and 4 3.0s, and my case front has 2 USB 2.0s, which I use almost all of them. I have 2 wireless mice and 2 wireless keyboards, a flatbed scanner, a USB printer, a network printer, 4 external drives, and several flash drives. This is why I got a gaming board with 8 SATA 6s and 7 USB 3.0s. I was one they put everything together and then turned it on, as I have done with every build I have ever done, and it worked great. I did test the PCIe card in old computer just because I have never used one of that type of card before, and some of the reviews were iffy to say the least. But reviews have to be taken with a grain of salt sometimes. Many times they complain about something that the product says it won't do. My 19.3 Mint and my 20.1 Mint, both Mate, worked as they did, and I haven't tried my Win 7 SSD yet. I just want to try it, and then I'm going to erase it and add the SSD for storage. My drives are as follows. Internals, 3 terabyte spinning drive formatted to 2.5 terabytes and 0.5 terabytes, a 2 terabyte spinning drive whole, a 250 gigabyte SSD with Mint 19.3, a 500 gigabyte SSD, Mint 20.1, a 240 gigabyte SSD, Windows 7, and a 120 gigabyte SSD storage, 160 gigabyte spinning, Mint 17 for test, a DVD, I'm old fashioned, externals, a 6 terabyte USB 3.0 formatted to 5 terabyte and 1 terabyte, movies and TV shows, a 1.5 terabyte for external backup, and 2 1 terabyte storage. I know when I installed Windows Drive, I always had to reinstall, but for Linux, I never had to. Thanks for the podcast and all you guys do. Sorry for the length, but I love computers and especially Linux. Mostly
Man.
Mint.
I
Thank
got a
you
lot.
all.
I got a lot to say. First off,
same here. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say, the 3200G that you bought, keep it. Like, hang on to it forever. Because if you ever make, if you ever upgrade off that chip, it'll be a nice chip to just slide back in there if you need, or if something goes wrong or something like that. The all-in-one chips are fantastic, and I've got one here. I think it's the 2400G. And man, it's fantastic. Like, I can actually play games on this podcasting rig. Not that I ever do, just that it's an option for me, and I really appreciate that it works, and I don't have to have some kind of video card or something like that to handle it.
Especially with the cost and availability of graphics cards right now of basically any kind, having one of the Gs is a really great thing. Plus, if you do have a graphics card and it suddenly goes out and you need to be able to test what actually went wrong, having one of the G lines is perfect for that. And even those are a little bit difficult to find right now, especially if you're looking for something in the 5000 series.
Yeah,
but
man,
I don't think they made anything in the later 3000 series.
I want to say that was like a 4000 series thing, and then with 5000 they didn't do any of the integrated, or at least they didn't release them yet.
You can get the 5000s, but they're only in pre-built systems. So you can find them on eBay, not cheaply, but you can find the 5000 series with the G, but people are buying whole systems and then turning around and selling the processor.
Right. So I don't know that they actually have them, but the 3200G, like, it's a fairly cheap chip. Wow, that's expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, and I do want to say that you are absolutely right about negative reviews. Or positive reviews for that matter. You can't always trust positive reviews, and you can't always trust negative reviews, because people will buy something for a purpose and then they get an item and it wasn't ever meant for that purpose and doesn't work for it. So guess what? Or they have a specific reason why something didn't work for them. Like they bought a processor for the wrong motherboard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
something
the
stupid like
3200G is supposed to be $100. Wow.
Which is nice.
Well, yeah, it's just not $100 right now. It's $200.
I was really hoping that the 3600 would come out with a G model, but no, it just came out with the 3600 and the 3600X.
Yeah, there's the 3400 if you want something similar, but you're still missing 2 cores on that one.
Right. Right.
But I mean, honestly, I think the 3200G is a really good processor to start with, and then build up from there, because that socket is still, the socket's still good. You'll be able to run if your motherboard can do the 3000 series, it can likely do the 5000 series, unless you're on like a B.
With an update, with a BIOS update, you should be able to go all the way up to the 5000 series. But it sounds like the 6000 series is going to have a different socket.
That sounds right. AM5 is probably what they're going to go to. But I guess they just didn't do any 5000 with a graphics card in them.
Well, with the APUs.
No, well, that you can buy and install yourself, right?
That you can buy separately. Like you can still get them, but they're in pre-built systems.
Right. Yeah, that's the wrong one. So yeah, and I always meant to go back and actually buy one of these things. But by the time I was like, let's go. Look at this. The 2200G is at $350. Are you kidding? This graphics card thing has gone way too far.
Yeah.
Wow.
Way too far.
That's insane. That is insane. Well, anyway, he had mentioned something else that I perked up about, and he said, I upgraded to an Asus X570 Plus motherboard, a Ryzen 3200G processor, blah, blah, blah. I also looked at MSI, but stayed with Asus because I knew them. See, this is why I go with MSI most of the time. But I've had 3 MSI boards back to back, and every single one of them, except for the middle one, has been flawless. The middle one wasn't a problem of the board itself. It was a problem of Ryzen and Linux and sleep states. And so I had to go turn that off in the motherboard. So it wasn't the fault of the board or anything, but
Uh,
I appreciate that MSI let me tinker with it, that they exposed that feature. Otherwise, I'd have had my Linux box hanging at a random time from 10 minutes to 10 days. You never knew it was just going to hang on you. And you couldn't do anything about it. You couldn't come back from it at all. You just had to turn that sleep state off, and I never had a problem with it after that. But it was nice that I had the ability to.
Yeah, I've done several MSI builds and several gigabyte builds.
Ugh.
It works and they're cheap. What can I say?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I
They're
feel like
they're not the greatest motherboards, but they are definitely cheap.
I feel like MSI and Asus are duking it out for King of the Hill as far as the best motherboard goes. I mean, both of them make weird, questionable decisions. As in, why do you like MSI has a B550 Tomahawk Plus, and then they have the one that I bought, which was the B550 Edge Gaming Wi-Fi, which are identical in features. Why? Why have both? Why would you do this? I don't know.
So
But
they can
I mean,
charge more for the Tomahawk, of course.
no, they are the same price.
Same price? Oh,
They're
okay.
the same price. Exactly. This is why it's questionable. I don't know why you would do that. You're competing against yourself.
Are the PCIe slots in the same positions?
Yep. I mean, physically, there's not. Dude, the only difference was that I could tell was the little Northbridge thing. It had like a different RGB light setup. You could still control them the exact same way, and they could still do the same colors and everything, but the heatsink itself was different, so it made the RGB look a little different.
Okay.
Seriously.
Oh, and something else with this email that I want to mention. I really like the way this guy has separate hard drives for his multi-boot system. I mean, that's extremely helpful in a lot of circumstances, especially like he mentioned, installing Windows and having to fix the grub every time.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah,
that was
that's where IC.doc comes in.
Yeah. See, but you got to have extra drives for that too, and I think that's the way to do it. I mean, if you're going to be having a gajillion drives, I mean, I don't know. Larry pulls it off pretty good. He's got I don't know how many drives he mentioned.
Yeah,
like
but he's got
8?
that 3 terabyte drive. Yeah, he said 8 drives or something, 7 drives or something like
It's
that.
a lot.
But he's got that 3 terabyte drive, and those things are notorious. The whole line of 3 terabyte drives are notoriously terrible and really short half-life.
I wonder if it's because their 4 terabyte drives cut down because they had a ton of bad sectors, and they just like in the firmware was like, just don't touch this area. Oh man!
But the great thing about the IC.doc is I've got a load of cheap 128 SSDs.
Right.
I can just slide them in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of drives to keep up with. How do you deal with that? Do you like mark them or put stickers on them?
Yeah, just put a sticker on and say whatever the OS have got on it. So whatever version of Linux it is.
That's what Sharpies are for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a question, and this is something that I'm going to be dealing with eventually. Is in the BIOS when you're choosing a disk to boot from, if you have the same disk, like the same model disk, how do you tell the difference?
If you're with the IC.doc, because that's my main bay, I can just detach the ones I don't want to use and just have the one that I want to boot from plugged in.
Can you plug in 2 of the same brand of drive?
Well, yeah, because you're booting from the drive. So as long as that's got the OS and the boot manager on it, it's just as if it's only got one drive in it.
So let me ask you this though: how do you install UEFI or the old BIOS style or MBR style?
At the moment, I'm using the old BIOS.
Okay, so you would run into this now. Okay, now let's say that I got 2 of the same exact drive, ADATA SU800 or something like that. I plugged them both in and installed an operating system, different one on each. They're booting MBR. So when I boot and get my boot menu and I show both drives, they're going to show up identical. It's going to say, ADATA SU800 and a model number after that. How do you differentiate?
Yeah, but in the boot manager,
They should have
tell you what the OS is.
Yeah,
so
they also should have some different type of addressing involved with them.
Not my. I mean, on actually on this machine as well. If you install an MBR, it doesn't give you a name. It just tells you which disk you want to boot from. With
Your BIOS
UEFI, it
should be able
does.
to tell the difference between them.
The UEFI does. I have, it says Pop OS or Ubuntu or Linux Mint or whatever. Actually, Linux Mint shows up as Ubuntu, which is weird.
Yeah. I've got two 1 terabyte drives plugged into my IC dock at the moment. One's got 20.1 on it, and the other's got 19.3 on it, which will eventually get wiped, and that will become when 22 comes out, that will become my 22, and go the other way around. So I'll have 21 and 22. But it just comes up in the BIOS as Mint 19.3 or Mint 20.1.
Interesting. Yeah, because my SU800 just says
both the same disk.
Right. Yeah, so my SU800 just says SU800. So, good luck. Hope you choose the right one if you got more than one.
Yeah, in the grub menu, it doesn't matter. It just lists them by name of the OS.
Now in grub, right.
Right. Okay, once it gets to there, I think I know what you're talking about now, because if you hit the choose boot menu on the load up, then it's just going to say the drive name, and then you got like a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, in the BIOS itself, like if you go into the BIOS setup, you'll actually be able to see a little bit of difference because of the addressing, and then put them in the proper order.
Yeah,
the serial numbers. But if you hit the F2 or delete or whatever it is for your particular motherboard to bring up the the BIOS boot menu, then I could see where that would be a problem, and you'd have to guess between the two. But
and it's
each time it should be in the same order. So if the first time you go in and it's the first one and it's wrong, then you go in the second time and grab the second one.
Yeah, it's not like the death knell for anything. It's more of a hang your head in shame while you reboot again kind of situation, right? Like it's that's the deal. But I think that's a lot of drives. How many do I have? I've got a 500 gigabyte Western Digital Black spinning. I've got a 256 gig SSD with Pop OS on it. I've got a 512 gig SSD with Linux Mint on it, and I have a 512 NVMe with Windows on it. So that's a far cry from that laundry list.
Okay, right now, just on my server/garage computer, I have a 500 gig which has Linux Mint on it. I have a 2 terabyte, a 4 terabyte that's currently split into 2 terabytes. An 8 terabyte, and those are all internal, and that maxes out the SATAs on the board there. And then because it's actually a micro ATX board instead of a full size.
Yeah.
And then externally, I have an enclosure that has another 8 terabyte that I still need to swap out for the 2 terabyte that's in there. And another 2 terabyte in that dual bay. But that 2 terabyte is dead, so I got to get rid of that. And then one of my external USB hubs, one of the Lenovo ThinkPad ones, so it's got like full 12-volt power coming into it, has 4 2.5-inch drives hooked up to it, and that's a 1 terabyte, a 500 gig, and I think 2 250s. So I have several hard drives hooked up to that, and like my laptop in here has 3 hard drives in it, and that's 2 1 terabytes, and then the 500 gig M.2. So much fun.
Man, it's so many discs. But I mean, I do the same thing. I mean, if my laptop can take more than one disc, I'll shove something in there.
Well, I get a new laptop if it's got a CD drive or a DVD drive. I'm yanking it out and I'm putting a disc tray into it.
And it gets even more complicated when you start thinking about booting from USB sticks or flash drive, not
Yeah.
flash drive, SD cards. Because now you can get a 128 gig SD card and you load a whole OS on it. All right, it'll run a little bit slower,
Absolutely.
but you could carry
Well-
bloody hundreds of them around with.
Yeah.
Well, I have a bunch of extra NGFF drives,
that's
the M.2 drives, and
how much
I'll
that is.
buy a $5 or $10 adapter to convert it to USB 3.0. I think I even have one to convert it to USB-C, and I'll put them in those little enclosures, and 128 gig, really super fast external hard drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need more drives. I don't need more drives. I just want more drives. I guess. I don't know why. But I'm like, ooh, look, a sale. Let me get one of these.
Well, eventually I'm gonna move that 8 terabyte into the slot that the 2 terabytes in, and then eventually I'm gonna buy another 8 terabyte and replace the 4 terabyte that's in there, and then I'll have 3 8 terabytes internally, and then I'm gonna swap the 500 gig for an M.2.
Yep. Yeah, that's the other thing. So this the motherboard that I built my new system on has I stuck the previous M2 or the NVMe in the bottom PCIe Gen 3 slot, so that one day when I upgrade, I'll get a new fast PCIe Gen 4 NVMe blah blah something or another, and stick that in the PCIe 4 slot or Gen 4 slot and get all the crazy fastness of like 3 gigabytes per second read and write. Like, oh my god, those things are gonna melt. I mean, it came with a heatsink to put on it because it's so fast. Like, you got to keep it cool. It's crazy, man. Those things are crazy now. All right, not that I'll know the difference. I mean, really, could you tell the difference between 1 gigabyte per second and 3 gigabytes per second when you're just moving around video files? Like, really?
Extremely unlikely.
Yeah.
Even for loading games or anything like that, it's not going to make that much of a difference. At this point, it's just, the enthusiasts that are running the benchmark saying, look at how fast my stuff is.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's exactly, yeah. The charts will make a bigger bar on the PCIe Gen 4 stuff. But I mean, really, like, you're not going to notice that loading up a game. You're not going to notice it, moving a couple of music files around or anything. So
there is a massive jump between spinning disks and solid state, and then there's a massive jump between your SATA solid state and your M.2 solid state. And not all of your M.2s, because some of your M.2 are just SATA 3 speeds, and then some of them are, have more channels, and they're not the NGFF. They're I can't even remember. Yeah, NVMe, and that is a major jump in speed. But anything beyond that,
you're right. Exactly. So we'll see. I'll get something eventually, and we'll do some tests on it to see if maybe it's more than just charts and graphs that make you feel better about your bigger numbers. All right, so we got another. This one's more of a clarification. Stan Reichart emailed us saying the line in our last episode was our Saturday stream will be at 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time on June 6th. Well, June 6th wasn't a Saturday. It was a Sunday or something. It wasn't Saturday for sure. So that was June 5th. So that's what it was. So I changed that to June 5th, changed it back. So if you saw that June 6th and didn't know what the heck I was talking about, it's because I typoed. Anyway, it was June 5th, and our next Saturday show is going to be June 19th. So keep an ear out for that. Anyway, so I told him I'd fix it. That was the deal with that. Anyway, because this is medical stuff, I went and abbreviated the name. But anyway, I got an email from JD, and he was talking about how his wife has been type 1 diabetic for 40 years. This is coming off of the security update that we had before about Bluetooth and just wireless and hacking and all that kind of craziness. And so he was talking about these Dexcom G6 sensors that handle type 1 diabetes, basically gives you kind of like an insulin drip so that, you stay stable throughout the day, and then you give yourself a bolus as you eat, so that you'll get some fast acting insulin right then and there, so that it'll keep you nice and stable. And then it sounds like there's some injections as well, that some actual manual injections that have to happen. But anyway, the email kind of goes into dealing with just the wireless. Let me see if I can find it. Oh man, I lost what I was going to read. But oh yeah, he was talking about the transmitter refuses to run a sensor more than 10 days. So, and I think this is mostly because, when you're putting something underneath your skin, it's good to change it out every now and then. And so there's a, big long story about people trying to get as many days out of it as they possibly can before it's actually inaccurate. But anyway, he was talking about you can fool the thing and get more than 10 days out of it by using a credit card to unsnap the transmitter, waiting a half hour, and lying about the sensor serial number. And some people are getting a second 10 days out of these sensors. Now, if you're not in America, I would imagine if you can get yourself a hold of these things, it might be a little bit better. But here,
No,
you end up paying something like $400 a month.
It's actually better in other countries when it comes to the like open source pancreas movement. We actually had a discussion on this on the show a couple of years back, because of a lot of makers were essentially finding older the systems that attach to you that can automatically control how much insulin you get and do the sensing over a regular basis. I can't remember all the details right now, because it has been a couple of years. But all of those systems in the US were basically made unavailable, but they're still available overseas. And it was a way to save money, because you only ended up using insulin when you actually needed it, using this automated pancreas system. And people that use them actually get warnings from the FDA in the US. So the cost and the availability of the automated systems are much better overseas.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I have to deal with these sensors as well. Not personally, but anyway, it's about $400 to have a constant glucose monitor attached to you, telling you, what your blood sugar is doing all day. Yeah, $400 a month, man. It's a lot of money. Just to know what's going on. But here's the thing.
It's still nice to hear that the systems are back in the US, even if it is $400 a month right now.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's with insurance. So yeah, good luck if you don't have insurance. The deal with that though is there might be something coming down the pike for folks like that. Now I don't know how accurate it's going to be. I don't know how good, or and it's going to be through gritted teeth that I buy one. The Apple Watch can now do well. It is rumored that the next Apple Watch is going to be able to do blood pressure and glucose monitoring like throughout the day. So if it's good enough, a $1,000 watch will replace that you buy, I don't know what, maybe every 2 or 3 years or something like that, will replace a $400 a month, essentially subscription to, figuring out what the heck you're doing all day. So, man, JD, seriously, if that is even a slight, consideration for you, keep your ear to the ground on the new Apple Watch, because I think it may do some of that.
Also, check out Open APS on Wikipedia. Just read the information there. Now, there are some concerns with it, but it looks like they can run on a Raspberry Pi or an Intel Edison. It's saying Intel Edison tells me this article is older, but it's definitely something to read through. There's also the Open Insulin Project.
Now, how does that work? I mean, actually, that's going to be for another show. We're going to keep Tony
Yeah,
up way too late. I think
yeah.
we're going to kill Tony. So let's not.
It's getting late. This is a topic that we could probably go on about for a long time, because there
Yeah, for
is
sure.
a large open source and maker community around these issues. All right, moving on.
All right. So let's do check this out. So I talked about this one at the top of the show. Hello System. I just what is going on here? I guess it's essentially a Mac clone, and I mean Mac OS is, I don't know what extent it is now, because of the M1 chip and all that kind of stuff. But I imagine there's still a lot of BSD and a lot of Unix underneath there. I mean the file structure when you go into there, it's Unix, you can tell. But it looks like Hello System is trying to be a free and open source Mac clone, and their focus is on simplicity, elegance, stability. So if you've ever thought about using a BSD and you're like, well, I don't want to do free BSD because, Tony, was it you talking about how it's basically like an Arch kind of install? Oh,
Turn
there
me
you
back
are.
on and then I can talk.
Yeah.
When Dale did his review on Distro Hoppers, he did say it's for a new user, it's not going to be an easy install. But for someone who's got some experience of and has maybe tried doing an Arch install in the past, it would, it'd probably be something you could do. But unless you've done something that's a bit more complex, then BSD is going to be a challenge to install.
Right. Hopefully not this.
Aren't there several different versions of BSD, much like there are several different versions of Linux or distros? And aren't some of them also fairly easily prepackaged?
Yeah,
was
Ghost
one
BSD
called
is
PC.
one of them. Yeah, and there was one called PC BSD, but they've renamed that, and I just can't, off the top of my head, remember whether this is the one that was renamed from PC BSD.
Now, I also understand that much like with what Wine does for Linux, there's something similar for BSD so that you can run all your Linux applications in BSD.
I assume there would be. I assumed so. But to your question before, just a random top 5. I don't know how indicative this is of the BSDs, but FreeBSD, OpenBSD, NetBSD, Dragonfly BSD, and Ghost BSD. So yes, they do have, and I think even distributions is not even the right word. I remember there being like a little kerfuffle about, no, well, don't use that word. It's not really a distribution or something like that. But anyway, yeah. So add Hello System to that list, and you get a pretty decent Mac something. looks and feels like Mac to me, with a little bit of GNOME slapped in there.
I'm currently on the website and I can't find a download.
Oh, let me see. Downloading. Yeah, there it is. So on the GitHub.io thing, if you go under Getting Started, go to Downloading. At the very bottom, there's the Hello System 0.5.0 ISO images available for download here.
Oh, is that on the? You go on the GitHub, do you?
Mm-hmm. And then, oh, it is. So okay, so I on Linux User Space, we got a message from Pro Bono, who is the guy that develops AppImage. He was the creator founder of AppImage. Anyway, he added some information to one of our episodes, and anyway, we back and forth a little bit, and then I saw him on Twitter hyping Hello System. I just thought he was involved. It's him, like he's the guy. So that is super cool. And yeah, just scroll all the way down, grab the ISO image down here, and I mean you can just run it. So I think I'll probably pop that in a VM and see how good it runs. And I mean the thing about it is, I guess BSD is getting software is totally different than in Linux. So something about ports or something, I don't remember. But anyway, it's kind of like dealing with what is Arch. They have their thing, their build it thing. What do you call that? Yay and all that.
Yay and Pac-Man.
Yeah. What is Yay attached to? What is that called?
Oh, I'm not sure.
It's like the user it's like PPAs, but for Arch, and they have like all the software, every software ever. Whatever that is, that's kind of what Ports is on.
And
on
you've also
BSP.
got the AUR, which is
the AUR. That's what it is.
that's
The
it,
AUR.
the AUR.
Yep. The Arch user repository. Yeah. So Ports
Yeah.
is like that, where you have a maintainer of a software and they keep it up to date, and you just run your Ports updates and stuff. So anyway, yeah. So I mean, I'll give it a shot. I just want to see what it's like, especially because this one is, they say the same lines that Elementary OS says. We're making it very fancy and real nice, and you'll have a great experience, and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be pretty interesting. All right. Anyway, Joe, what do you got? What is this?
Well, my wife shared this with me earlier today, and I thought I'd bring it to you guys. It's an open source method makes possible 2-layer PCBs with through plating at home. Now, it doesn't look like something that I would actually do to build a PCB, because you do have to buy palladium, and I'm not Tony Stark. But it is an interesting project where you're basically making a multi-layer PCB at home. There is a lot of chemical processing going on with it. You can see the video that they have attached there, and it's just an interesting project that I found.
Pretty cool. And Nishant in the YouTube chat was feeding me the right info about the AUR. And so apparently Yay is, I knew it was yet another. I didn't know what the other Y stood for, but it's yogurt? Yet another yogurt? I love that, man. Like, what? I just got to see it. Is that, oh my, yeah, it really is. Like, look at this. It's fantastic software, but yogurt, that's got to mean something, right? Like, I mean, what does that mean? Why yogurt? Oh, is it because Yowert? Is it a like a pun off of that? How silly. That's funny. See, this is why I like Linux software, man, because the names are always just off the wall, man. They're crazy. Anyway, well, that's it for our check this out. Y'all have any last words before we get out of here?
Nope.
All right, Tony, I will let you go to sleep soon, I promise. So our announcements this go around are our next episode is going to be at 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time on June 27th, 2021. Check that date. I'm pretty sure that is a Sunday. It is a Sunday. And you can, there's a link in the show notes that will give you the time converted to your time zone. So you don't have to do any math. You don't have to go to YouTube and see our live stream and how long that's going to be or anything like that, because it's late today. And yeah, just click on the link. It'll tell you exactly when, so you can mark it on your calendar. Our Saturday stream is going to be at 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time on June 19th. And I'm pretty sure that is also, yeah, look at that. The calendar tells me it is a Saturday. So that will take care of that one as well. And Londoner is gracious to hook us up with another link. So I'll have that in the show notes once that comes out in the podcast to get that converted to your time zone too. But since it's a live stream, you can always just head over to youtube.com and just click on mintCast. And, while you're there, you can click on the subscribe button. But until then, you can get your live stream figured out from there. Apparently, the little bell tells you like when things happen. Not that bell, different bell. Joe's bell is different bell. That's a kitty.
That was my cat.
Yeah. I'm talking about the bell next to the subscribe button. Also next to that thumbs up button. So, you can hit that too.
It's a pretty good bell, though.
Yeah, it is. So now that we're wrapping this up, Joe, where can we get more of you outside of here?
Well, you can catch me on a couple other podcasts. I'm on the Linux Link Tech Show, which is at tllts.org. I'm on the Linux Lugcast. We will be recording next Friday, and that's linuxlugcast.com. You can find me on MeWe, or you can send me an email, jb@mintcast.org.
Ooh, and Bo cut out early, but you can get him at theundercastnetwork.com, the YouTube Undercast Collective, and I'll sneak it back in here, but you also can get him at the CKP podcast, Crowbar Kernel Panic. That's also, they've got their own YouTube channel, but they also live stream on the mintCast channel. So if you're just subscribed to mintCast, You'll get the notifications about that too. It's Saturday evening, 6 p.m., I believe. So yeah, tune into that as well. If you got nothing else going on a Saturday, it's a good show focused on gaming. Tony Hughes, what about you?
Yeah, you can find some of my old podcasts on Hacker Public Radio. I'm host ID 338. I'm on Twitter at TonyH1212. I'm TH at mintcast.org, and I'm on Distro Hoppers Digest at gmail.com.
Woo! And Mike will be back soon, but you can get him at Mike at mintcast.org and Grouchy M on Discord and Telegram. He's been flooded with work. Yeah, missing his voice. So we'll likely have him on the next episode. As for me, leochavez.org and at Leo Chavez on Twitter, Leo at mintcast.org if you need to get me over email. I'm also on another show, linuxuserspace.show, and you can buy me a coffee if, you know, I'm thirsty sometimes. Anyway, but before we leave, we want to make sure to acknowledge some of the people who make mintCast possible. Owen Peary for our audio editing, Josh Lowe for all his work on the website, InitRD for the animated mintCast logo that we have on Discord, Hobstar for the actual logo, and Londoner for all of they're 2-time syncs now, so thanks for both of those, Londoner. Bytemark Hosting for hosting mintcast.org and our Mumble server, Archive.org for hosting not all of our, it's just one anymore. It's just an MP3 now. Archive.org for hosting our MP3. HPR for our backup Mumble room. And of course, the Linux Mint development team for the fine distro we love to talk about every fortnight.
Thanks, Clem.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Clem.
Clem.
And Co.
Now, as for the HPR, I think they removed our room.
No.
No.
Yeah, they cleaned out a bunch of rooms in there because nobody was using them.
Sad times. Okay, it's fine.
I could get in touch with Ken and ask him to put it back.
No worries.
Honestly?
I mean, we're using Discord, and then we can have our Mumble as a backup.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Well, thank you, HPR. Dun, dun, dun.
Bye-bye.
Dun, dun, dun.
And we need to add Josh back into our wrap-up since he's, still going to be on the show.
He's off and on again. And you know what? Next time he comes on the show, I'll add him back in there. But he was on one after he said he was going to quit, right?
Not yet.
Oh,
next show should be the first time
Josh,
he's back.
If you want to get put back into the wrap-up, you got to show up. Show up. Put you back in. Show up.
Well, hey, come on, give the man a break. It was his 5th wedding anniversary this weekend. You got to look after the other half sometimes.
Okay, fine.
It's a fair point.
Yeah. And Nishant said the Arch user guided installer thing that they just added is pretty easy. And then Norbert asks if the installer script included on the ISO. I think that's what it is, right? It's just a script. It's like a text-based UI kind of thing. He just kind of like necks through the issue. People complain about Anaconda. Go try Arch, man. Anaconda's fine. Leave it alone. Oh, really? Nothing for customized partitioning? So Norbert, what would you have to do in a case like that? You would just have to like fdisk it and then run the script and then just use the partitions that you had already created? I mean, that would be my first instinct, I guess. But, the only time I did Arch was when it was, still hard. I guess it's still pretty hard. Oh, okay, cool. So customized partitioning due on the next update, likely. Cool. Yeah. That's pretty cool stuff, though. I need to try Arch again. We did Endeavor, right?
How easy is it to set up a Mumble server?
If you have access to a Linux box, I mean, sudo apt install Mumble server. That's about it. And then, you log in with the super user within Mumble, and then you can tweak all the settings that you want.
Right. Okay.
So, I mean, basic hosting is not hard at all. Secure hosting is a mild annoyance at best. So it's not difficult at all.
Okay.
And for anybody that has a tough time reading tiny text, hey, I made the text real big this episode. I didn't forget. Ha ha ha. Ooh, yeah, give the current script a try. Actually, Norbert, give it a try. Let us know what you think. I'm pretty interested in that. I think I might fire it up too and just see what it's like. Even without the custom partitioning, I guess. Just, yeah, whack them on there and hope for the best.
Right, I'm just exporting my audio now. I've set up a folder in Drive for the audio.
Thank you. Cool. Saved mine. Export this bad boy. Nope, wrong one. There we go.
363.
363. By the way,
I've downloaded the ISO for Hello. By the way, I'll give that a
ooh,
try.
okay,
I'm
yeah.
not sure if it gives you the install option on that ISO. It says it's a live ISO, but it doesn't say whether it gives you an install.
Surely they would.
I would hope so.
Yeah. Who? Okay.
I would hope so.
What a weird situation that would be.
Yeah. But I've had that. It's not so common nowadays, but when live ISOs first kicked off, not all of them gave you the ability to install. You had to go and download a different ISO if you wanted to install. So there was the live ISO and there was an install ISO.
Yeah, and I didn't want to trash BSD because I really don't know where they're at in the processes and stuff. But I mean, it just seems like there's a lot of polish that's missing from. I mean, generally all of the BSDs. I mean, I assume the folks that run it don't care. I mean, it's not really a priority for most of them. But
I don't care, but the whole thing is BSD has even less users than Linux does. So
yeah, you're gonna give Linux crap about its 1%. Let's look at BSD.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have less. Go ahead.
Dale was saying that a lot of people who use BSD are actually Apple developers who can't afford Apple equipment.
Get out of here!
And
really?
because Apple is
based
on BSD originally,
it'll still work.
What they're developing. Well, it would in. I don't know how they're going to get by now that they've moved over to the M2 chip, because you're not going to be developing on the same platform, are you?
No, all those ARM chips are unique. I mean, they have uniqueness about them that you have to recompile them for those particular chips.
Yeah,
the ARM risk kind of situation.
So it might be a different situation if you're looking at developing for the M2 chip.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I still want one of those Macs, man. I mean, it's going to cost a ton of money to get the one that you actually want, but I mean, the fact that they're so fast in a lot of the things that they do, it's cool. I mean,
one of our Makerspace bought one. He quite likes it.
I mean, it's good hardware.
Once they really start cranking out these new ones with the ARM style chip, I might buy a 2016 or a 2017 model just to put Linux on it, because the prices will drop through the floor.
No, not Mac hardware.
It does tend to fall, but it keeps its value a lot better than x86,
10%, 20% kind of
AMD 64 stuff.
Yeah, 10-20% is all you're going to get off of a Mac.
Well, it depends on how broken I buy it.
Well, okay. Now, if you're going in and planning on fixing it, then that's a different story. But, I mean, the fact that, I
got to get my phone in somewhere.
And there's actually support for it. So, I mean, for all the shade we like to throw at Apple and all that kind of stuff, man. But we've got 7-year-old phones over here kicking around that are about to get iOS 15.
You still got honestly with Macs, you still got people using 2012 MacBook Airs.
Yeah, exactly. Like the fact that you can do that and it's still supported, as in you get updates on devices.
Well, they really didn't make any significant hardware changes until 2017, 2018, somewhere in that range.
True, but I mean, think about it though. You've got a Google phone that comes out 2 years later. They're not going to update it. That's the bar that we have set.
That's what I'm there for. I'll update my phone.
Right, but
I'm
you
actually
gotta.
still getting security updates for my for the one that Josh gave me.
That's good.
But
That's
it's still
fantastic.
on 9. It's still on Google 9.
Right, and if you want anything else, you got to root it, and then you got to flash it, and then you got to add G apps and all kinds of craziness to it. I mean, your regular folk ain't gonna do that, but they will with a Mac because I mean they don't have to think about it. They just press the upgrade button and it works. So, yeah, I don't know. We like to throw a lot of shade. Not, you know, me especially. There's some Apple stuff that is good, but yeah, support.
I'm due a new phone this year. So,
what are you thinking?
I was thinking Nokia, so I might go for a Nokia 8 if they've got one at a reasonable price.
Pretty cool.
The Nokia 7 that I got for my wife a while back, that cost me 200 quid. So the 8 should be roughly the same kind of money. May even have a 9 out. I don't know. I haven't done any research yet.
Yeah. So, obsolescence policy. Oh yeah, Lineage OS. Yep, for the custom ROM for sure.
Ooh, the new Nokia X20.
Nishant says go for Samsung. Tony.
Well, the X20 is 300 quid. That looks nice phone, actually. Ooh.
Yeah, by the time an Apple laptop's obsolete, you can get Linux on it, and that's what I'm counting on with the M1 chips. If I get one, by the time I'm sufficiently annoyed with Mac OS that I need to remove it, Asahi Linux will be ready to go, and I'll just slap that on it, and I'll get Arch on a Mac, on a new Mac with blazing fast speed, on an ARM chip. That I think is cool. ARM is going to open the door to so much power saving. And the battery life is just going to go through the roof. Yeah, Norbert, I think it's the next version of the script that they'll put on it. Whenever that is going to be, you'll get the custom partitioning. But, you know, like I said, just disk away and then run the script. That's the deal. All right. Any... Yeah, Arch on ARM. Yeah, heck yeah, Arch on ARM. That's Asahi Linux. Go check them out. They're fantastic. They're specifically making a distribution for the Mac M1, and so far so good. They're working on the graphics stack right, and once the graphics stack is serviceable, I imagine they'll probably spin up an ISO and start having people test it. And that's where I want to be. I'm not a developer, so I can't fix half the crap that's going wrong with it right now. But once they spin up an ISO and start letting people really, really actually kick the tires on it, I might be in a position to be able to get one of those M1s, because that would be fun. Yep. I think Asahi builds a lot of it themselves, but I do want to say that you can pretty much put Arch on a Pi, you know. So I think Manjaro's doing a lot of the heavy lifting there. But that stuff.
Yeah, but it's going to be a different instruction set for each of the
sure
processors, just like you were saying earlier. So
it totally will, and that's, you know, let Asahi do all the heavy lifting, and we'll be good to go after that, man. We'll be good to go.
Ooh, I can get the Nokia X20 5G smartphone, dual SIM, 6 gig of RAM. 128 gig of ROM. It's got a 64 megapixel quad camera.
I swear, they're just going crazy with the megapixels, man. It's
a 6.67 inch display.
At this point, the number of megapixels doesn't matter. It's all about the post processing that the phone itself does.
Yeah.
Hey, Nishant, you don't need to get verified with us. It's like a Discord verification thing. So that is mostly just you're talking an off topic, so you're good. You don't need to be verified any other way. I think that was what you were asking about.
Think 6 gig of RAM's good enough?
Yeah.
Probably. How many apps
OnePlus
do you
is
really
still
run,
doing
Tony?
really good stuff.
Maybe if you do a lot of gaming, you need more. And Norbert, yeah, Asahi is I don't know. I mean, can you really fork Arch? I guess it would be a fork of Arch, but I mean, depends on what you mean by built from scratch, because everything has to literally be built from scratch for the M1 chip. So I don't know. I guess yes to both. I don't know really.
Yes,
Intel, yes.
yes, you can.
Yeah, Intel, yes, for sure. AMD is a little sketchy because you gotta fake it a little. AMD graphics cards are fine, but AMD
Yeah.
CPU is a little tougher.
Yeah, if I remember right, Linus Tech Tips had a really good video on how to do it.
Ooh,
Even if the hardware wasn't really supported running, bare bones Hackintosh, if you had a good
Right.
enough processor, you could set up either Linux or Windows and then run a Hackintosh VM and just give it all the resources and have it be what comes forward. So it's entirely possible to make anything essentially a Hackintosh.
All right. Any last words before I go kill the stream? And finally let Tony go to sleep.
Well, my audio's up, so I'm about to go to bed.
I see it. I'll drag mine in just a sec, and I'm going to go
And
ahead.
we need to remind Bo to put his up at some stage.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Just
I'll
send him a
ping him.
message on Discord, yeah.
Yeah, I'll ping him and make sure Owen knows to hang out for
All right.
Bose.
I shall have a play with Hello tomorrow.
All right. I think I will too.
Hey, do we know what next topic is?
I don't think we settled yet. It could be a Raspberry Pi episode if Tony wants to get something up fast, but otherwise, I don't know. We'll talk about it.
There's a good chance that I might not be on the next one because I'm going to be on holiday, vacationing down at Woodbrook, and it's hard enough to get Wi-Fi working there sometimes.
Right. Well, if you're still tuned in to the live stream, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it, and especially the banter that we had toward the end of the show. That was really good stuff. So, y'all, thanks again, and we'll see y'all again next weekend on Saturday.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to say good night, and I'm going to go. So I shall talk to you next week, guys.
Yep.
Good night.